Good evening, everyone. This is the work session for the Board of Trustees, Village of Port Jefferson, February 11th, 2026, and calling this meeting to order at 5:05 p.m. Clerk Perillo, would you please confirm the presence of a quorum?
Yes, thank you. Mayor Shepra?
Present?
Thank you. Trustee Giuliano?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Franco?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Hill?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Ugrinsky?
Here.
Thank you. With that, Mayor, we have a quorum. We have Attorney Moran with us and Treasurer Gafka.
Thank you. Now, would everyone mind standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Okay, tonight we have two presentations before we get into our monthly reports. Our first presentation is with Lessings. Steve Kirschbaum and Joe Scalise are here from Lessings, and we are so grateful to have you here today. They'd like to present to this board. So they'll be presenting to this board some ideas and conversations that we've had over the past several months to look into enhancing the first level of the country club main food and beverage and catering facility. So Joe Scalise and Steve Kirschbaum, come on up. I think there's a presentation opportunity over here with a microphone and everything, and then when you're done presenting, take questions. Maybe you can join us at the table, if that'd be okay.
I don't know if do you guys have a?
It's going to come through in a minute.
Oh, okay, no problem. Just give us 2 seconds. I'll just
Yeah.
say hello to everybody. My name is Steve Kirschbaum. I'm the Vice President of Catering, for Lessings Hospitality. I run the catering division. I've been very involved with the country club. We are coming up on a year, believe it or not. I mean, it was, I guess, March of last year that we were finalizing everything and kind of got our feet wet in April. So we did want to just share a presentation with everybody. From our view, we just kind of have that assumption that everybody knows what we've been doing and what's going on there. And in talking to a lot of people, I think there's a little bit of a disconnect with exactly what's Lessing doing up on the hill, and I want to share that with everybody. So I put together a PowerPoint. Most of it I'm just going to read as we go, and there are a couple of pictures in there, just to kind of elaborate on where we are.
One second, Steve. Are you having issues with it, Stephen?
I just haven't gotten it through my email. I'm going to resend it to him in a second.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I can
You can
start,
talk through your,
and
yep.
as we get it on there, it's really the pictures. So Lessings, again, I'm reading because I was going to have it up there, but we've made a clear and lasting commitment to Port Jeff Country Club, the membership, the residents of the village. Our investment to date is a little over $2.5 million so far, and although we'd like to be done, we know we aren't. Just over the last few days, we've had a number of pipes burst, some sprinklers burst, and we really are handling that all internally. Again, that'll just be part of our capital that we're spending to really beautify the property and get it to where we need it to be on the level that the village really wants it to be, the members really want it to be, and any clients that are coming in outside of that, for catering needs, weddings, and so forth. So, to us, it's a relationship, it's a partnership. The money that we're spending today, we feel is a phenomenal investment. The members and our team, led by Joe, have really been great. So. We've also spent, I don't have the exact number and I apologize, but it's about a little over $300,000 to remove what was the West Side tennis courts. We had to regrade, install new drainage. We put up beautiful fences. That was a little bit over 300,000 on top of the over 2.5 million that we've spent on the building itself. And again, okay, perfect. So if you could, so do I have control of that or do it on here? All right, sorry, bear with me just for a sec. And, all right, well, there is the venue as you know it. Again, I'm gonna kind of skip through what I've already gone through. Again, you know, the Meadow is something that we really believe is, you know, functional, revenue generating asset for both of us. Because again, we have a relationship where the more sales we do, the more we pay. So it's a benefit to all of us for us to really reap as much benefits as we can. Again, there was some definite confusion with the Meadow, where we did have some residents that were asking, you know, what is it going to be used for? And, you know, there might not have been clear list of every single thing you could use the Meadow for, at, you know, at the spur of the moment. But the idea is to use it as additional space as, you know, when it was a tennis court and you were a member of tennis, you went there and you were able to play tennis. If you're a member of the club and you want to utilize it for a birthday party, a wedding, or whatever you want, it's there to do that. As what we're doing is when we do have an event on there, we're adding an extra fee so that the money that we bring in for that turns into revenue for the village as well. So just to show you, I believe I have. So this is not a great shot, but this is how the Meadow was before when the tennis court was there. And that's what it looks like now. So if you haven't been up there, it's definitely worth looking at. I know the deer think it's awesome, but it's just beautiful. It adds a tremendous amount of value to the property. And I know that what was there, the tennis court, was really kind of more of an eyesore than anything else, and I think it just really adds. So again, we look at it as something that we can bring in more events for the members, for the residents, and again, for private events. We're looking at doing some carnival events, some barbecues, happy hours, things like that where, again, the members can utilize it, as well as we've already been contacted by Mather Hospital, who was looking for a venue to do a gala outside. They were not looking for an interior. They wanted a property that can do, is it 400 to 500 people? 350 people. And when they saw the Meadow, they felt, oh my gosh, this is where we can do it. So again, it wasn't a matter of, well, we could just put them in the building. They weren't looking for that. So when you look at this event, which we're hoping will be in the $100,000 range, that's a $9,000 fee that's going to the town for the Meadow that was not reaping any revenue prior. So it really has a ton of benefits, really, to everybody. And again, just, you know, I kind of jumped into the middle of this, so I don't want to move along too fast. You know, Joe really is committed, you know, both to the club and to the community. He's just joined the Chamber of Commerce, so he's now a board of director on the Port Jeff Chamber. Again, we want to be part of your team. We want to be part of your community. You know, we do not like us and them relationships. We like we relationships where at the end of the day, everybody is happy. It's not one side's happy and the other side's like, you know, we didn't reap really a good deal. And I do believe financially, the village will get tremendously increased revenue from what our predecessors have been paying, as well as a much nicer facility for all the events that we do throughout the year. Another area that we really wanted to kind of clean up and utilize was kind of this lower level, which really was storage and just kind of not taken care of. So we cleaned this up and we really created some space that people can come down and sit and look at the water. It's beautiful over there. So that whole area is just an additional spot that we can do happy hours, we could do small parties, we could, again, you could walk over there and just sit and look at the water. I mean, it's just beautiful. That kind of wasn't there before. Right now, we are asking for use of a couple of the areas down on the lower level. So currently, you have a beautiful area set up for your lockers. There's kind of a living room area that's shown in this picture for a seating area, as well as what used to be the tennis shop, which again is in this shot. I know it's a little small, so it's hard to see. We're looking to make an investment and put in new floors, take care of the paint on the walls, redo the ceiling, and make it a little bit more inviting. Again, for those of you that don't know, that's where the weight room is, the gym. So there are people that come through there to use the gym, but it's not very welcoming. It kind of looks like it's not finished, and there's certainly nobody ever there. So what we were proposing was to put an investment in and clean up this whole front area, the living room area, and turn this old tennis court, tennis shop, into office space where we can receive people walking in. So the idea is, obviously, catering clients that are coming in, but even members that are coming in and they want to use the gym, or they're coming in to use the card room, and they need assistance. We'll have some people in that office. There's no cost to the town because they're there for us, but right now, it's like a ghost town. You know, you don't know where to go, you don't know where to turn. There's a lot of members, which I found out recently, that didn't even know that was down there. So I think that there's a tremendous opportunity to raise the level of membership benefits by just cleaning that space up and kind of using that as a reception area when people walk in. And again, whether they're members of the club or coming in to book a private party, it just elevates that area. And again, it's not been used for many, many years. If, you know, we had investigated with people from the village if there was any plans on doing anything, and I know right now there really isn't. So, you know, if there was a time in the future that you guys needed the space back, we can talk about that. We're really not looking to do anything that's going to obstruct what you guys want to do for the club in the future. So I want to be very clear about that. But we do think it would be a really big add. I think that the card room that's down there, I don't think gets a lot of use, but we want to start promoting if you want to go down there and play bridge or canasta or what mahjong or whatever you're doing, and we're aware of it, because again, either we have somebody sitting at that or we get told in advance, we'll send a server down there. They'll take drink orders, run food down there. If the community, or whether it's a group of golfers or something that we're doing for the members where they want to do a meet and greet or a little card tournament or something down there, we'll put complimentary beverages and some snacks out. So again, it just adds to the club as more of that private country club feel that I think all the members really want. And we would clean up most of that space. We wouldn't be able to do all the way into the lockers and that space because the investment is just really big. We did get a quote and we shared that if it was something that the village wanted to add, we'd work with it and just add it. But we would do that whole front space, all that sitting area, that living room area that's shown here, and make it really nice. And again, everything we do, we're doing to make that building a beautiful venue. And remember, you know, this is your building. So one day, in the very, 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 very distant future, if we left, this is the condition we're leaving your building in. You know, we treat everything like it's ours. We, you know, I think we've proved in the short time we've been here that we take our responsibility on maintaining the building extremely seriously. I don't want to bore everybody with the pages and pages and pages of invoices that we've paid because, like I said, either HVACs weren't working or roofs were leaking or, you know, all that stuff we had discussed by coming in, we would take on, and we've done that. So we just want to keep an open door and have that dialogue with the village, with the members of anything that you really are looking for we're looking to work with you guys on. You know, it's really a two-way street, and we want to make sure those conversations happen. Again, I'm not going to bore you with, you know, the line by line on this stuff, but that's pretty much what we were looking at. Some of the things Joe was proposing, like I said, was using that room as maybe a trivia night, some movie events, some tournaments. I think we could do some fun stuff down there, and we already have the staff in-house. You know, I have service week that can go down there. You know, we have people in the kitchen that can prepare the food. So I just think it's an added bonus to being a member, you know, anything that we can do to do that. So that's basically, you know, what I'm skipping over here. And again, this is really what we were talking about for the Meadow, was using it as any kind of recreation space. If we want to do a cornhole tournament, we want to do a yoga event, but we want to maintain it to really look as beautiful as it does now. And we got done so late in the year last year that we didn't have the opportunity to do all the plantings that we're doing. So when you do see it this spring, you're going to see it, the whole perimeter covered in flowers. That deer will not eat, but nice flowers. So we do think that it'll work well both ways, but it needs to be managed. You know, it needs to be scheduled. We can't have people just showing up and, you know, we were using it or you were using it. So we're looking at it as part of our space that is your space. Obviously, anything you guys want to do on there, we're not charging you for, but we just want to have a calendar so that we can schedule things. When we do have a private event, it doesn't impede on something else that wants to get done. And again, our goal was just to keep investing in the club. We want to, you know, we're looking at this. We again, for those of you that don't know Lessing's background, we have 13 full-service catering venues on Long Island, plus up in Westchester and a number down in Florida. We are looking at Port Jeff to be one of our flagship properties. I mean, it's going to be there. We are very confident. It's beautiful. Again, for anybody that has not seen the work that we've done inside the building, I invite you all. Just come in. You know, during the week, we have people there every day. Most weekends, we have people there. We just sometimes have private events. So come down and see it. I mean, we're so proud of what we've done so far, and we hope you guys are as well. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. All right, great. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for coming and thank you for all the work you've done and resources you've invested into the facility. On the Meadow project, did you have a number set in mind for the fee that you were going to apply to events for that?
The only thing we've really come up with is if you want your wedding ceremony out there, we didn't want it to be just another area you can choose because, again, we want to get some of that investment back, and we want to be able to create that additional revenue stream to the village. So I believe right now, if you want to have your ceremony out there, it's an additional.
If you do a ceremony out there and it's just chairs and a runner, it's like $3,500 additional.
And that's for a private event. Again, anything we do with the village, there is no rental fee. It's just whatever the catering we do. So that's really just for private events. The event that we're doing for the hospital, that's all built into their pricing. And they have a very large budget, and it's going to work out really nicely. And I don't know if we have a sign, but I think we do have a verbal commitment. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Would it be okay if you guys like come over? You want to sit
Oh,
in these
yeah,
chairs?
absolutely.
So I feel like you're talking to the back of my head, and I'd like to look at you. That's okay, brother. No, I'm too old to turn around like that. Kyle, he's flexible.
We're just flipping the script on Chris, so.
Yeah. Oh, you want
And his
to?
cameras.
All right.
Really close.
That's all right.
Listen.
I just wanted to say one thing from me. Yes, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say one thing, and that is, having come from country clubs and high-end country clubs and the restaurant business and catering as well, I see so much potential that's being missed. You know, upgrading that lower level and having a sense that you're walking into an elegant, high-end country club by virtue of the way it looks, by the reception, by the very just stature of coming in through those doors, is something that is so close and within reach. And that's going to drive social membership. And that's going to make it possible for the club to grow and to grow the membership and to have people feel like they're coming to some place that is really special. I see one or two people going downstairs, you know, on a daily basis. They walk in, nobody's there. Half the time the lights are off, the stained ceiling tiles. It's just a mess. And there is something to be said for walking in and having pride with bringing your golf buddies in and sitting down and having a drink and so
The
forth.
locker rooms are beautiful. I mean, if anybody hasn't seen them, they're really nice.
So just a question. So just to segue off of what Kyle had mentioned before, you're saying that's a site fee to use the meadow?
For private events.
For private events. And contractually, we don't get any money off a site fee, correct? Or
It's-
do we?
It's not a
No,
side fee,
no,
it's
no,
a
no.
line, it's a line
It's a line
item.
you would be getting your percentage on all
We
those
would get
fees.
revenue from that.
100%.
Now,
Gentlemen, I just want to advise everybody in advance, a couple things. One, there's a public that's trying to watch this and a meeting that's trying to be recorded. 3 people just spoke at the same time. I guarantee you no one heard a word.
Why don't you repeat your
Wonderful.
question?
So it was about site fee and whether or not contractually we get revenue off that.
Yeah, so everything we do is food, beverage, and our administrative fee. The only thing that contractually you don't get is the administrative fee. So when we ring in a site fee, it's rung in as food sales. So it would be shown as all that, and we would ensure that you would get it. And obviously, when we do our finances with Steve, you know, when we report all that, they would see everything that would be additional for that.
Okay. So as far as I understand, as of today, we don't have a contractual agreement for Lessings to utilize the meadow.
Well, our understanding, and again, we are not looking to step on toes, but our understanding is our licensed premise is the country club. I drive my golf cart all over your country club all weekend long with my liquor license that covers that. So we cover that whole area. If you want to carve out an area and say this is off limits, that's an open conversation, but up until then, it's kind of like that whole property, it's not just the building. With the turn, we have a license to be out on the golf course. So as far as New York State's concerned, that's all our licensed premise. So when we look at it, we look at every single area, and believe me, every single area of how can we produce revenue out of there. So if it was a tennis court and you guys had members that were using it, then it would be a tennis court. We wouldn't be able to use it for those kind of things. So the fact that it was unused space for so many years, why not make it something nice that could be a revenue generator for everybody?
So because it's municipal property, it's not part of your contractual with the catering hall. That is a separate piece of municipal property, and for you to utilize it, you would have to submit a proposal
Okay.
for contract with the village, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, so that you can use that property. I believe that this board has not received a proposal from you, and we've had several discussions about whether or not we're going to get a proposal to determine fee schedule for the meadow, because it's not part of the original contractual agreement. So, and I think that's where the confusion is.
You asked me to step in.
Yes,
so I'm
please,
not-
Dave, go ahead.
The original lease contemplated and the various addendums contemplated between the village of Port Jefferson and Lessings contemplated the use of the building and it's the current outside wedding area that currently existed. Certain infrastructure changes are part of a global effort to bring as much potential to the property as possible, and Steve, I'll support that, everything that you said. I also support the fact that you're right, your liquor license allows you to drive your golf cart all over their golf course, however you want to say those words. What's been discussed in this room, in maybe now for the first time in public, I don't know. I don't recall if there was executive session or contractual discussions that we might have had in executive session, but here we are. The intent, in my understanding, as the attorney representing the village and your attorney and your various management, was to bring about an ultimate resolve. And that ultimate resolve was not having a contract that was signed in 1993 and 75 addendums between you and everyone and their sister who at one point occupied it. So this effort, as far as I understand it, It's just not ripe yet for what the trustee is looking for, in my opinion, because we don't want to continue to do an addendum, to the addendum, to the addendum, to the addendum. It started out with these renovations, and then it started out, and if this board recalls, the mayor specifically came to this board because there was no contractual obligations yet in reference to the Meadow, about the idea of you possibly selling a wedding, I believe in 2027, that may utilize that space. Now, if there was a contractual obligation or it was being used in some nefarious way or outside any contractual obligations, those statements would not be made here in public, because we understood that there's still maybe some negotiation that needs to take place as you're still doing infrastructure changes to the building and continuing to invest. I don't know if it's the first time anyone in this room is hearing that the idea of the new flooring and other things and better utilizing and tailoring that in, that bottom level, to a possible social membership, which might include the gym and the steam room and the card room and the driving range, something different than a full-fledged golf membership. I think now that we're at this precipice, I think part and parcel of this presentation was to move this towards those contractual obligations which encompass the entire campus, which is at all of our best interest. That's where I think we are at the moment, and
if
if
I
anyone,
may.
feel free to help me out with that.
Two things. At those 13 venues I mentioned, 10 of them are municipalities. One of them is Bethpage State Park. Again, we can go anywhere in Bethpage State Park and set up a tent and do a party as long as we're not impeding on the public. If we overstep that, and for lack of a better term, an addendum needs to be added for the Meadow, yeah, we're more than happy to do that with you guys. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't, and I don't know why the town wouldn't. Again, it's property that,
It's a village.
yeah, village, I apologize.
But, and I will step in to follow up, but, so we did receive several proposals from Lessings. And the next natural iteration of this discussion was to bring it to the board so you could hear from them, and it wasn't just the mayor, trying to get her friends into some sort of agreement without, telling the board what she was doing. This was to open up the conversation, to give the board an opportunity to ask questions, to better understand, an opportunity for us to work with Lessings on trying to craft an original document that doesn't have 6 addendums on it. So that's why we're here tonight. So you could hear from Lessings themselves, ask the questions that you have, and if we can move this forward, that's the goal.
Excellent. Yeah, and again, like I said, we're open to following whatever direction you guys want us to take. Again, as you know, we've had these conversations from day one. In order for us to be successful there, we have to have a successful catering operation. I think you guys have seen that from previous operators, that if you don't have that, you can't survive. So creating that Meadow, is night and day for a bride coming in and looking at potentially booking a wedding at a tennis court, for lack of a better terms. I always think of the Planet of the Apes, that's how long it's been sitting like that.
It's a tennis
To what it
graveyard.
looks like now, where you want to utilize that space is awesome. And then I'll also put it to you that if you or your children were getting married at a venue like Port Jeff, you would want to make sure that whatever was going on at that Meadow during your child or significant other's wedding was appropriate. So I don't think, the goal.
Let me stop you there so we could stay a little bit more focused. I believe what I'm hearing from you is that's part and parcel of the campus, which is covered by your lease and its various addendums. Ergo, if you have a wedding that costs $80,000 and the village gets X percentage of that, great. But if you have the ability to have a wedding at $80,000 and charge $30 for the cocktail party to be on the Meadow, the village now gets X percentage of 100 and 110.
100%.
So your interpretation of the contract is the Meadow is part of that the tennis court area is part of your contract.
Let me be clear. Whether my interpretation of it is that or not, we will still follow what the village asks us to do. So if it isn't clear and we want to rewrite something to make it clear, we're happy with that.
Because it's not, in my opinion, in reviewing that contract, the meadow and that tennis court is not part of it. And my issue with it is that this board never passed a resolution to do a joint venture with Lessings on that project. And that's a municipal property, and and that had to be done prior to any construction done on that project. So going forward, in my, hold on.
I just need to interrupt there, so the guest is clear. I don't think, at least when we vetted it here, it may or may not be some trustee's position, but it wasn't a formal position taken by the board.
No, understood.
I just want to make sure that we're clear. When trustee Franco says this joint venture, I personally don't agree, but he does, and that's fine. We don't have to agree on everything. But I just want to make sure that it's not, that position's not being held out as the official position of the board, because there was no official position of the board in reference to whether or not a joint venture was needed.
And subsequently, that is the problem, because there was no resolution by the board authorizing it as it should have been. But with that being said, going forward, there has to be an addendum to it for utilization and sales. I would say even going forward, there should be no promotion or sales promotion of the meadow until we have a proposal and a contract addendum signed and agreed upon by both parties.
We agree, and we agree. And that's where we started this evening with this proposal. And instead of doing an addendum to the addendum to the addendum, okay, we have an addendum for the meadow. And then we agree that they're gonna do the tennis room and fix the downstairs for a social membership and fix up the locker rooms. Now there's an addendum to the lease, to the addendum that Lombardi signed. The idea here is to do it globally, which is why the mayor came and said, hey, we know we don't have an agreement, or we don't know what it's gonna be, but they have someone interested in 2027. We'll probably get it figured out by then. Or Lessings, as far as I know, has yet to advertise or take an official position like, hey, look at this new space.
It's all that we've used it for right now is just looking at it from the building, how beautiful it is. You know,
So
and we asked
I
if they
agree.
could take pictures down there.
I agree with you, trustee Franco, and I think that was the intent of them being invited here today, because after the downstairs and the room, I believe you want to make a formal coat room so the coats aren't everywhere.
Yeah,
And that's all
absolutely.
part of moving everything around. But after that, whatever Lessings is going to be doing on that space, I think would be complete after you finish the downstairs.
With that being said, before they start and initiate any new renovations to the downstairs, I hope we're in agreement, submit a proposal on what you want to do contractually.
We've
So
already
we-
done that.
Oh, so,
We have.
oh, you have? Okay, because I don't think we've seen it
We've
yet.
actually done it for the meadow. I didn't want to cut you off,
You-
but
We've done it
we've
more
done
than
it for
one
the meadow
time.
probably 3 times. We've done it for the downstairs. So again, we're not banging at the door, but we've done our due diligence.
I want to clarify for the trustee, 'cause
Yeah.
I see the wheels going. Financially, you said it might cost X to do the downstairs. Does the village want to participate?
It's a proposal.
That did happen. However, it hasn't been discussed yet at this board because it wasn't ripe for discussion, because you guys didn't know what they wanted to do, and the mayor or anyone else telling you what their proposal is didn't make sense, when they can come themselves and tell you, this is our intent. So now that they're here and they had this discussion as I started, this meeting right here was the precursor to the finalization of scrapping everything that was old and introducing something that is new. And what I mean by that is the various iterations of the lease, the various addendums that transferred the use of the property under the license agreement to various different parties, and the piecemealing of it. And that lease will include, hopefully, additional things that I know, trustee Franco, that you personally brought up, that I've personally shared with them in reference to membership using that side of that side of the parking lot and other things. Making it more membership driven also, as opposed to just Lessings driven. But this is a start to that. So I think that's where we're at, and I just don't want it to be misconstrued that anyone is sitting on numbers or proposals are being worked out or negotiations are taking place, because as far as I know, all that has happened is, we can do this for X, do you want to join? And that's what we're talking about now.
And again, if I may, you know, our goal is certainly private events, but it's golf outings and it's member events. We want all of them. And we don't want to shut one out for the other, but we put the membership first. You know, whether it's taking a night to do the 4th of July, like those are all, you tell us those dates you want and they're yours. So I don't think we've ever illustrated anything other than that. You know, Joe has come up with more ideas to use the Meadow for members than we have for private, because we want all the members to come out and check all that out and utilize it. So please don't take any of this as, oh yeah, they're just worried about their catering. I think we come up with a calendar of events for members that exceeds.
You just keep saying members, but I think you also mentioned 4th of
Resident,
July. That was a
yeah.
resident event,
Well,
correct?
well,
4th of July is public.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
anybody could buy
Whether
tickets.
it's-
Halloween.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Porch
When I
Up
say-
residents.
But we're
As
talking
He
about if I
understands
may
that.
intro-
No, he understands
understands
that.
that. I'm just
But it's-
worried that
100%,
folks at
yeah,
home.
Right.
I apologize.
No,
If
yeah, because
semantically,
that's
I'm saying either
an
members or
important
residents.
distinction.
or-
It is a
mean,
very
if-
important
if I may,
distinction.
yes.
Right. I have
And
I have a question.
Yeah.
It appears that we are now evaluating the possibility of just writing one document that I love that. I appreciate that having been brought up.
And you know who
Have you
appreciate
guys-
more than anybody is whoever's sitting in this seat in 15 years.
Yeah. And so have you guys already agreed?
And our auditor who's shaking her head like this.
On that? One document, yeah, I like that too. So do we know what I'm always interested, in a destination, because that enables you to actually have something to target. So do we have a sense for the process that has to take place to get to the information that would be in that document?
My client needs to tell me what they want, not if they've heard everything, and start from there. The rest of it's fairly simple. It's a dollar amount and a space amount and a morphing of documents, eliminating what's archaic or doesn't apply anymore, eliminating references to Crest and Lombardi's and all these things that don't matter anymore, and encompassing newer things and committing it in writing moving forward. So we're all on the same page, so we never have to have these ambiguous discussions again.
The other thing the Meadow will avail is opportunities for social membership activities. We're already getting requests from our staff about, hey, can we run a yoga program on the Meadow? Can we run Tai Chi? And so these are social membership activities and the social membership will consist of the things that our attorney described with the lower level, including the gym and the locker room use and the steam room and the game room, and in a more beautiful place. And the sky is the limit as to what we can schedule on that Meadow property, in addition to what Lessings has planned from a food and beverage standpoint. And should that run through the CCMAC and the Board of Governors, they'll want to take a look at that. I know it's in Gwen's hands right now for recommendation to this board to accept those proposals and those plans. So
We glossed over one thing, which I'd like to just clarify a little bit, and that is the use of the lower level former tennis pro shop. The use for that space would be basically as an elevated sales office with a conference table, a couch, and a desk. What this would bring, I believe, having been in the business for a long time, is much more bookings. Guests would come in through the either upstairs or downstairs. They'd be escorted in there. There'd be happy faces in there. We would have TVs and monitors up with golf outings and weddings and so forth. But it would allow us to close more deals, and close more deals means more money for Lessings and for the village. So we kinda glossed-
Equally important for that space, having seen it,
Yeah.
is not walking in there as someone who comes at 6:30 in the morning to get a quick round of golf and walking into a place with no heat, with no lights on, spooky,
Yeah.
leaves on the floor.
a presence that will make it welcoming for our members. I've played
I can't promise you there'll be somebody there at 6 in the morning.
you know what I mean.
The
But
other thing
it'll
that
be a
it's gonna-
functional space.
Brian
The other
Johnston at the gym.
The other thing it's going to bring is a sense of unity that we're a club, we're all together. And having worked in clubs and just coming from Pine Hollow, you know, people would come past the catering office, going to the gym, going to different places, and there'd be excitement, and it would feel energy. There's nothing down there, it's dead.
Yeah, even for the events, whether it's a holiday like Mother's Day or Easter or one of the events we're doing for the golf groups, you know, people have questions and not everybody likes to pick up the phone. They want to walk in. It's just inviting. You know what I mean?
I can tell you this, having played golf there many times in my life, changed in my car, changed in in the bathroom, at the turn, because I didn't even know that a locker room exists. So if we could, if this goes that way, identifying where the locker rooms are by a dedicated path, a walk, with steering traffic towards that way, that's what's going to make it welcoming, not people thinking that it might be there or not.
Just to, because it could be spooky doing that. Just to address what many residents in the community want to really find out is, I guess the restaurant is never reopening.
Well, you know, never is a strong word. So first of all, we want to do more events on the clubhouse side for the members and residents and whatever we're, you know, because again, we can open up to everybody when it comes to, like I said, if we're doing Mother's Day and stuff like that. So we did try happy hours last summer where we were doing every Friday on that side, and it was well received, but we think we can build on that and do more of those kind of events. And then, again, with permission, not stepping on toes, have some days where we're doing them on the Meadow side. Because we feel by talking to the members and some of the residents that they want to be on that side of the block as much as possible. So when you say the restaurant's never going to open, yeah, there's probably, that's probably true in the sense of a traditional a la carte restaurant where you could just walk in and the bar is going to be open, but we will be using it for restaurant nights, we'll be using it for happy hours, we'll be using it for lots of events that, whether it's the public or the residents or the members or a mixture of the same, can come in and utilize it.
When you say members, you're saying the golf membership.
No,
correct?
no,
You're saying
not
the
really.
community in
No,
general.
I mean, right now, if somebody comes into the turn that's not a member, we don't
No,
throw them
no,
out.
but I'm just saying, because,
Wherever you go, it's
You
the
need to
same-
start focusing your language on
Yes.
residents of
Residents,
the
yeah,
village.
yeah.
Residents. Well,
Residents of the village.
It's
Again,
actually public.
whether it's residents,
Public-
whether it's members that are residents or members that are non-residents, it's open to
Before we
everybody.
move forward, I'm assuming catering's like lawyers. Small community, we kind of all know each other. Did you get any feedback, or have you spoken to any of the prior caterers in reference as to why they left, or how come there's no?
Well, yes, of course, we went to the Lombardis. I mean, and again, I apologize, because in our world, it is a pretty clear picture. Every single one of them left because they lost their shirt having a restaurant in the building. That is why they left. It's a money pit. Well, our goal at the turn is to break even. Just don't lose money, because we'll make it in the catering and these special events that we do. That's just, we run 15 golf courses. Bethpage might be the only one that actually is a profitable restaurant, because there's 5 golf courses on that and there's a tremendous amount of traffic. Every other one that we run, I'm not saying they're not successful from a client perspective. They come in, the service is great, the food is great, but everybody that goes in there on a Saturday and goes, look at all the people in here, aren't coming there on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and when there's nobody in there. So yes, there are days we are making a profit, and then we're giving that all back on the days that nobody's there. Inclement weather, we're still open. Who's coming out to play golf? So those 19th holes, turns, whatever you want to call them, I would say I've yet to find a golf course where they're profitable. They're just not. It's just the nature of what they are because of the operational hours. If you can limit them to just the busy days, then yeah, you can do a good job, but you want it open every day, and I get that. Having a restaurant in the building is, from what we were told, was the nails in the coffin for all 3 of the previous operators. Obviously, we have a relationship with the last one. That's kind of, you know, who we dealt with on exit, and we know Crest pretty well. And we reached out to Lombardi, because we don't know them as well, but they were very forthcoming. And it was not even a question that having a restaurant open to the public is never going to be profitable, and if that's what you concentrate on, you're not going to make it. And if we can make it, it's because we're doing the catering. So if I have a wedding on a Saturday night going on in that building, again, if it was one of your family members whose wedding it was, you would not want golfers walking through the lobby, walking into another room. It has to be separate. We really felt like we stepped up the menu in the turn so that we addressed a really good menu. We do specials. We have brand new outdoor furniture coming. I can't figure out why people don't like sitting out there, but we're gonna put a TV out there. We will get people to sit out there.
And we're extending out onto the patio that's
Yeah,
there?
we've been working with Jake and the guys, and they've been awesome. And we really didn't have the ability to do much with the Adirondack chair area where the fire pit is. We wanted to do more there. So, yes.
Any thought of expanding that to the other side of the parking lot?
Yeah, so again, where that meadow is and that lower area that we cleaned up, we think we can do those same kind of seating areas, Adirondack chairs, having, food and liquor service down there. So yeah, that is totally our plans to be doing that. But it's not a traditional restaurant.
What would we call it?
You know.
Something like the players patio or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that?
yes.
I think Joe had a couple of good.
I think it was Players Patio.
Yeah, you might have heard that for a minute.
Just out of, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that would be, I'm sorry,
No, please, Bob, go ahead.
I've been overstepped a couple of times.
Sorry.
So, first of all, Jill, let me say thank you. We had a meeting down there on Thursday, and hospitality was great. We had cookies and water supplied by you, so thank you very much.
Welcome, and that's the way it should be.
So, the players' patio, or whatever we're going to call it, is that members? Is that residents? Is that open to the general public? What's the idea behind
I mean,
that?
again.
That would
we're
be
not
members,
looking-
Bob.
Yeah.
That's our answer. That would be members.
That would be members.
You'd have to be a
Again,
member,
we'll
social
follow
member,
what you want.
golf member.
Anything that we
But if
do-
there's an event and it happens to be on the players patio and into the meadow, that's public. It's a Friday night happy hour, open to the public. Public.
I know, because he talked about it in conjunction with the term.
I'm going to say this,
so.
and I'm not going to, certainly
Oh, I
not
could
going to
be
speak for
wrong
him.
too. Wait, maybe I overspoke.
But at the end of the day, if you guys put 6 tables out there and 6 tables are full every time the sun's out, you'll probably put 12 tables.
Yeah.
And then probably
It
invite
is
the,
public.
and probably invite the public.
Like the
As-
turn.
I would like to think that if
That's- yeah.
a public came in, a resident came in and tried to just get a chicken Caesar wrap at the turn and wanted to sit over there, you wouldn't be like, no, you can't sit there.
No, of course not.
Yeah, that's my
Again,
bad.
it's
I
not-
misspoke.
Again, I think there's this level of us and them that we're trying to keep it for us and not share it. It's your property, A. We are just trying to do the best service that we can for whether it's members, whether it's public, whether it's residents or private events. And if we can do everything to the level everybody would like, then it's a win-win. So our goal is that win-win. And if we go in a direction that you aren't thrilled with, then we're here to talk about it and write that. But I will tell you, you have almost 600 members. And I'm sure you're aware, there's 600 different ideas of what that club should be. So.
Probably 1,200,
You know,
but-
yeah. So it's something that we have to do as what we're professional at, which is running the food and beverage services of these clubs, while achieving the level that you guys want. I mean, I will say, out of the 500 and change members, everybody wants to be proud of the club, that's for sure. So if we can raise the level of service without gouging anybody, because I think our prices are very fair, we actually try to keep them lower than what it is in town, so they don't go into town. And really try to create new events that will get people together and socialize at their club. That's our goal. And I think we've been clear with the calendar that we've set and working with Gwen on those things and Mike on the golf things, like, we love it. You know, we want more golf outings. You know, we want more events that members and public can go to without crossing that line where you're like, no, we only want it to be this, then that's fine. Just let us know.
And I think something that, just one sec, that we're seeing with Lessings that we didn't necessarily see with other concessionaires is a real interest in working with our pro and our pros to make outings more of a collaborative event. In the past, it's been the pro shop gives them a contract and the food and beverage caterer gives them a contract. But in today's world, what they're doing is they're working together to put a package together that makes sense for the outing, like the prom, like the fire department, and like all the other outings that we're bringing back to the food and beverage concession on site. So that's a goal for our outings.
Yeah, I mean, just on that note, that was one of the things that concerned us coming in was not that there was a lot of outings, there's not, but almost all of them were not eating on site. And obvious reasons, if they weren't happy, they're not gonna eat here, but that's revenue out of the pocket of the village as well. So we want them to want to stay at the club. So by giving them fair pricing, really good service, really good food, they're gonna stay at the club. They're gonna get what we call dinner-only covers that didn't play golf, but now we're joining them because they're all fundraisers, as we know. And everybody grows. And now, rather than go to some private place in town to have that dinner where the village gets, well, maybe some sales tax, it's now a partnership that everybody wins, and we all get a piece of the revenue so that we can invest more, and, you know, you guys spend yours how you like. We like to spend them on investment.
And you're giving your
reinforces-
furniture away,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
Something that nobody wanted, but, you know, we look, at the end of the day, we don't like throwing anything in the garbage that's decent, and when it comes to furniture, it might not be our style, or it might not be as pristine as we'd like, but there are many people, whether it's people that work for the town or work for us, that really could use that stuff, so yeah, we try to give it.
Or
Yeah.
for the prom, the two
Yeah.
huge gray chairs.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted them,
I'm
but we
sorry,
didn't
I
think the
forgot
king and the
about that.
queen.
The bride and the
of
groom,
prom.
king and queen.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
extremely happy that we donated those chairs to them.
And Trustee Hill, you were gonna?
Yeah, just going back to the players' patio, I think there was just not clear, like, where is it, and then what is the intent?
I don't think it's clear because I don't think it's been at all developed.
Okay.
It's an idea, it's a nebulous idea in discussions and trying to figure out what this agreement's gonna look like moving forward based on comments heard in this room about bringing people the idea of, I pay all this money to play at the Port Jeff Country Club, but yet I don't even see the water. As opposed to, I invite, you know,
Yeah.
Trustee Franco, I know is a member, or the mayor who's a member, invite some friends, they come. I know I drove a lot of way north, parked and I couldn't see because of the building. Where is the water? After the round, you go and sit in a dedicated area where you could they'll either send a server or order and it'll be delivered to an area designated that's not quote-unquote off limits because it's the country club and not the golf club.
Or if it's after hours where the the course is kind of light and people are coming over there, you know, we could park the beverage cart there.
Yeah,
And
so,
we
but
can
is it for golf members, or is it for the public? Or is it, we're trying to figure it out?
I don't think it's been
Whoever,
nailed down yet.
whoever has,
I can say this.
whoever has
I'm not
dollar
gonna speak
bills
for
to
them.
spend.
They're not gonna turn anybody away
I'm not gonna turn anybody away. We don't.
if
have
it's a-
guys-
Okay, so that's kind of what I was trying to get at,
Yeah.
is just be mindful of how you brand and market things, because a player's patio says it is for the players, not for anyone that wants to spend $1 up there.
Well, just
So
extra-
I would
you're
focus
right.
more on the views and the scenery. Like, I guarantee you there are a lot more people that appreciate the view of the Long Island Sound than appreciate golf. So
No, absolutely.
Just Steve, hold on one second, because I have some experience in this area. What you don't want to have happen, because it'll be just another problem, is the golfers come off the course who pay to be a member there and don't get a table where they want a table. So there's probably some area that makes sense, exactly what Trustee Hill is saying, and I'm probably right. Plenty of days I'd rather look at the Sound than play golf myself. Where there is a area dedicated and then an area dedicated, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's 5 or
But
6
again,
tables over here, 5 or 6 tables that are
Oh, well, we could
always available
yeah,
for the
we
members.
could always have an area that's reserved table for members.
We can develop it and
Yeah.
really think about
And
the
honestly,
names
the
and
patio
whatnot.
Your point is
was just
taken,
the
though.
name that Joe threw out. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great point that Trustee Franco wants to take credit.
I mean,
Wow. Wow. You know, it's very spooky, but I have a question.
Sure.
Do you guys run the restaurant in the Three Village Inn, right?
Mirabelle's, yep.
Maribel's. Do you also run the catering section
Yes,
there?
we do.
So why can't we, at least a few nights a week, because to kind of help the community, because the community was real, when I tell you, when I ran and I walked this entire community, they were very upset that the restaurant was not going to be open. Is there a possibility that you guys can do a few nights a week where you open the restaurant and you have it open? Because listen, I had dinner at Maribel's. It was fantastic.
Can I take
You know,
Let me jump
hold
in.
on, let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
The pecan dessert I had with whatever cream they put on it was unbelievable. Bring that over here. I'm telling you, you would draw people to the restaurant.
You can tell me all night long. We tried opening up for the restaurant, and they did not come. So it's
Okay.
tried and failed.
Understood.
And it's not our opinion. It's 3 operators failed. We said coming in, we are not going to follow in that footsteps. But we want to be able to utilize that space so that it's not a blacked out area for anybody that wants to use it that's not a private event. So we will be doing things. Maybe we'll do a Mirabelle's night. But I am telling you, we canceled more nights last year because we had 2 reservations. And you can't operate like that. It's just.
Understood.
You know, and again, if we do a patio, whatever we call it, and it really takes off, we'll absolutely be adding more tables, more servers, more bartenders. We'll set up a bar outside out there. We want to do things that are going to be well received. But it's, when you come out of the gate on something that you're going to start, usually you start here, and then there's a little bit of a dip because everybody wants to be there for the first night, and then you see where it goes. And if it starts to grow, fantastic. We did it all summer long, and there were too many nights. We were like, we sent out notices, we have to cancel. We either had none or 1 reservation. So we would do more of them if they would be well received. But the thought that they will be has been disproven. So we'll continue to try, because to us, if we have an empty day, we want to fill it, and if we could fill it with something open to, whether it's members or residents or really everybody, we want to, because an empty room is an empty room. But an empty room filled with staff and no customers is the opposite. We can't do that. So we'll work on that. Come down and join us for dinner when we run our events, because like I said, we saw a lot of people that were repeat, but you can't do all that. We also saw people in the beginning of the year because they wanted to get rid of their $400 minimum. And then as soon as that was out, we didn't see them again. And, you know, we get that too, and we understand that. Nobody wants to not use it. A lot of people use it on Mother's Day, and that's the only time we'll see them all year.
And as was discussed in this room too, part and parcel why the restaurant closed prior to you coming was the previous iteration of the contract, which created a situation that was untenable for the village in the amount of money they had to pay. In that one section of the lease, if you remember, it jumped from the minimums jumped to over almost $400,000, if I remember. And the out in the contract was, it wasn't a breach of contract that we didn't give you $400,000, but what it was, and it's, I'm gonna say, I wish I was the attorney that wrote it, to take credit for the fact that they knew they weren't gonna get the $400,000 in minimums, and not make it a breach of contract so I can still keep the catering, but it allows me to cut whatever services I want. And what's the first thing to go? The restaurant.
That was
So
some
we will
contract.
leave that with you,
Yeah.
and let us know how we can help. And, you know, again, it's February. Tomorrow will be May, apparently, because that's what it feels like. So we really want to try to get this stuff rolling. We would love to do our welcome back party for the members and highlight all these improvements. We do have a couple of months for that, I believe.
And I think you, Were you talking
We-
also about an open house for the community itself to
Yeah.
see the?
To
Yeah.
see the renovations,
Mm.
yeah. We love doing open houses, and again, we put out free beverages, free food. We want to show off everything we've done, and we want to make everybody in the village proud because it is beautiful. I mean, it's awesome. We are here for the long haul, and we want to work with you guys, and anything we can do to make it better, just let us know. I mean, we really want to try to say yes to whatever we can, and I think for the most part, other than one little piece, we can really do that. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and I hope we didn't take up too much time tonight. I appreciate it.
No, we're glad you
Thank you
came.
for your time.
Available.
I think we accomplished what we intended. We're not here to make a decision tonight,
Oh,
but
cool.
we needed a free and flowing conversation with this board who wanted, I believe, wanted to hear directly from you.
Excellent.
So,
Well, have a wonderful night.
Thank you,
Thank you
thank
again.
you.
Next time, bring the cookies Bob was talking about.
Yeah, they were good.
So before we
Before we get on to the next one, what's our next step?
I would suggest probably an executive session discussion, because it would be contractual negotiation at this point moving forward, now that we heard their intent, where they came from, where they want to go, and what it's going to look like moving forward. But that's an executive session discussion. Grab everyone's ideas, chew on them, and figure it out.
Okay.
Okay, next up, Stephen, do you want to introduce our next guest?
Thank you, Mayor. We have Ali Battaglia from R.S. Abrams with us. She is a managing partner and was the lead on our audit for the village. Thank you, Ali.
Sorry, I'm short, so I have to adjust this. Okay, so I'm happy. So I do want the board to know that I did meet with their Budget and Finance Committee. We definitely had a great conversation. It was a long conversation, but really good dialogue, I think, came out of that meeting. So I'm just going to go over some of the financial highlights that we spoke about in that meeting. So I am very happy. I mean, we're definitely from last year to this year, we made milestones. You did receive unmodified opinions on the financial statements and you did have a single audit this year. So if you remember last year, you had an adverse opinion on the governmental activities. This year, that all went away, so we had no issues opining on the financial statements themselves.
It went away because what?
It was a material weakness for the capital assets. So you had capital assets you had a full appraisal. We had a restate for 2024 as well as 2025.
Yeah, let me just remind everybody what that was.
We have a treasurer who's sitting, nobody
Who's
puts Stephen in the corner.
about-
Come on.
Who's about to answer that question?
Thank you, Mayor. We had a material weakness because for as long as I could find records for, the village did not have a record of their capital assets, itemized by what they were, categories, and where they belonged. We were able to bring a vendor in that was able to do that for fiscal 2024, provided that to the auditors, and then updated it for fiscal 2025 so that that material weakness could come off the books, and we will continue to update it in this process each year. And it should happen in perpetuity now that the process exists.
It will happen in perpetuity.
Yes.
Well, as long as I'm mayor. Okay, thank you.
And Stephen and Ali, maybe you could just, for those watching, could you just explain what a single audit is?
So the single audit is federal rules require that if you receive over and currently, because the number's changing, but for this year, more than $750,000 of federal funds, you have to report and have those funds audited based off of the projects and then reported to the government, basically so that they know you're not misusing the funds that they give you. So we had to have that done because we did receive over $1 million in federal funds for fiscal 2025.
Okay. The business office was very cooperative, so I want to definitely thank Stephen and his entire team. This was a huge undertaking this year. We actually also, as you recall from last year, we had your country club that we had to move into a proprietary fund. So we had to move all the assets, liabilities, and it is a different type of accrual basis. So let me explain. Governmental, your governmental funds, your general fund, your capital projects fund, it's called modified accrual basis, which means that it's just short-term in nature, so you don't have on your long-term assets, long-term liabilities. We do convert that into accrual basis to put on the capital assets that we just spoke about, as well as all your long-term debt associated with it. This year, we had to move, the country club had to be full accrual basis, which means we had to put everything that was allocated to the country club on their financial statement. So they have their own financial statement and income statement on the financial statements.
Is that similar to the court? Is that a proprietary fund as well?
No, that the court is actually a cash basis, so it's just a little bit different. This is part of your governmental wide, but it's just shown differently as a business type activity.
It is a separate audit, though.
It's combined with your other funds, but it's just shown on the financial statement. It's more like a business type activity versus a governmental, but it's still combined.
Gotcha.
into it. Yes.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.
Sorry,
Yeah,
trying to do
I
flavors
just want to
of that.
acknowledge the magnitude of that effort, right? And since it's not something that auditors get to do on a regular basis, I'm sure you had a bunch of people who were like, this covers every possible thing we could want. So, to see. And, but I think for the village itself and for certainly the treasurer's office, the difference is now going to be, it's a different type of reporting. And if you're familiar with commercial accounting, it really resembles that. So, so there will be a little more ongoing reporting work, and we have to figure out how to get that out of admins. Automate.
So we had the management letter, so I'm happy to report all of the prior year findings and recommendations were implemented except for one, and that's just because it's going to be it's in process, so it's a little bit more negotiation, so it's going to take a while. So hopefully by 2026 that will be implemented. But otherwise, we had no current year findings except for the prior year that got fast forward. So I'm happy to report those were all implemented, and Stephen was well receptive and made sure that he wanted to make sure that everything was implemented, and any questions that he had, we definitely had a lot of conversations and meetings on. Then there's another required order communication that we're required to let the board know that there was a new GASB standard implemented this year. It was 101, and that was compensated absences. So it basically added on a little bit additional liability to your books. So we implemented that, as well as we had the change in the financial statement presentation. So for the country club now as a proprietary fund. We also have to let the board know that there's estimates utilized, especially with the useful life of capital assets, and especially with all the pensions and OPEB, because you have actuaries involved. There definitely were no disagreements with management. There was no difficulties, but it definitely took a longer time this year because we had so many, like we said, we had everything in the kitchen sink on dealing with this audit. But I think moving forward, we are in a much better spot than we were when I first started this audit. So I'm happy to report I think 2026 is going to go a lot smoother. We actually did move up the audit date so that we can be even more efficient and get this done more timely so that we're all set to go and we meet all the deadlines, which we did meet all the deadlines. I do want to say that, but it was getting there. very tight close. Corrected misstatements, so we did have some corrected misstatements that had to do with all the prior period adjustments for moving. Obviously, we had for the capital assets that we had to restate, also for the proprietary fund, and then the management representation letter we did receive signed, so that's why we were able to go final with all the reports. And Stephen has the finals. This is just an overview. We just went into a lot of detail about the revenues and the expenses. So overall, the revenues did increase by to 11.8 million by 667,000. And as well as the expenditures did decrease by 267,000. We spent a lot of time on the fund, on the unassigned fund balance and the fund balance, so I'm happy to report that it did increase this year. There was a lot of talk about now for the board to come up with a policy, a fund balance policy and reserves, hopefully to establish some reserves and do a projected to 3 to 5 years of where you want to see your unassigned fund balance. I know the Budget and Finance Committee asked if I had any samples, so I did provide Stephen with some sample policies that you can incorporate from different other villages, so that this way you could come up with a game plan of where you see your fund balance. So this, we went into a lot of detail of revenues and expenditures where it increased real property taxes due to the approved budget, departmental income increased due to the increased parking meter rates and more metered parking days during the winter. And the miscellaneous revenues was due to that payment from the Suffolk County Water Association to repave the roads that was destroyed during the water main extension. And then expenditures did decrease, and it was due to the public safety decrease due to resignations, reduced hours worked, and elimination of the parking administrator position. As well as culture and recreation decreased due to less maintenance required for the parks and beaches. So this is just showing you we don't have the country club, so that's why it was restated, because now it has its own financial statement, but it's still part of the whole package deal. This is just a roll forward of opening unassigned fund balance. We started with 1.5 million. Revenues and other financing sources under budget was 90,000, which was it was due to departmental income and miscellaneous revenues. And expenditures and other financing uses and encumbrances under budget of 177. It was kind of even throughout the whole budget, so there was not one specific area that shed a light. The use of the unassigned fund balance, that was 39,000 that utilized, and then the closing of 1.6. And then this just shows you the country club, so this is now your net position. So it did decrease by 1.4 million, so now it's shown as, like I said, its own kind of own financial statement itself. And then this just shows the net position. So you have total revenues did increase as well as total operating expenses, but the net change in net position did decrease. So it was last year 1.6 versus 441,000. Yep. And then there's if there's any questions.
Can we get the PowerPoint? Is it in here already?
No, it's not in there.
I didn't think so.
But you have the entire,
You have
all the financials.
Yeah, but this is certainly easier to get through.
Sure.
Thank you.
So those country club numbers, can you explain like that huge difference in revenue from 2024 to 2025?
Yes, I think that was due to the collections in advance that
That were not,
correct.
That-
So it was like, right, it was accounting,
because we were collecting the funds in the same fiscal year that were used for the following fiscal years. And
Yeah, so it was
Spending next year's money.
yeah,
it was a timing of
Yeah,
when you're
right.
supposed to hold it as a liability versus then when you recognize it as
confusing
revenue.
the hell out of everybody.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
So, and I think I told Stephen it would be better, even the Budget and Finance Committee. I think once you have 25 and 26, you'll really be comparing apples to apples,
Yes.
where you're comparing apples to oranges right now,
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
It's
It has
a little
been a
bit difficult
two-year
to-
journey, right?
Yes, yes.
To get here. And
We
you
got
guys,
here. It's
we
so-
did get here.
It's incredible.
Yep.
No, it was a pretty significant task, because it's really hard not to spend money when you have it, right? And you need it in the fiscal year that you're not allowed to spend it. But it looks like it's there. So that's my, I kind of do have one more question. And that is, when the Suffolk County Water Authority fixed the roads that they damaged
Mhm.
during their construction project, changing on Old Post Road and other areas across Main Street, that's considered revenue?
Yeah, it's almost like an offset, so you gross it up, because you take the revenue versus, and then you have the expenses.
No, that does not compute. I guess, let me
You say that in
rephrase my
English,
question.
please?
Yeah.
I know, sorry.
Let me rephrase my question. So, if a utility pays to fix a road, we consider that a revenue? We take the revenue and then we pay the contractor to fix it, so that's considered,
An expense.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, sorry, I try to,
It just wasn't
I know.
budgeted, right? It's not a budgeted.
correct, that's why you have the swings on the revenue side
Mhm.
versus the budget. And
Okay.
that's why one of the ones was miscellaneous revenues.
All right.
And the AUD or whatever it's called now has been,
AFR.
AFR, yes,
AFR,
that's,
okay.
and also, another piece was the data collection form for your single audit, so you have to fill out another form, which we just filed today. So that's, we still had 30 days, but we got that done today, because we wanted everything to be done.
Okay.
So
Yes, the
all the-
AUD was filed, and the state got it, and
Yes.
that's, that's what she was referring to, and it was getting a little close, but
Mhm.
next year, we want it done by the deadline, so.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again.
Thank
I
you.
just can't thank Stephen enough, so thank you.
Thank you very
Stephen,
much.
Yeah,
thank you very
it
much
was a
for
huge-
all the work you did to get this done, so appreciate it.
You made it look easy this year.
I don't know about that.
I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't. Thank you very much. We'll see you in 6 months,
Yes.
maybe 5. Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now, let's get into our monthly reports of the trustees. But you know what, we're gonna start tonight with our clerk. All right?
Thank you, Mayor, Board. I am going to attempt to be brief going through my report. I'd like to announce our employment opportunities. We have a full-time year-round position, which is a custodian 1 available at the Village Center. We have part-time seasonal positions available, an outside operations specialist for the country club, starter and player assistant, which is called a ranger at the country club, pro shop attendant at the country club, and an assistant tennis professional at the Village Center. Under financials, you'll see that I've called out the FRES damage assessment. That is something that I must say was an excellent collaboration between department heads and other staff to submit all expenses up to date that were incurred as a result of Winter Storm Fern. So that was done. Under legal notices, we are
Sorry,
calling.
on that,
Sorry?
like as the snow melts and we see more things that maybe a plow hit, should residents be informing the village of that, and then likely those expenses, like if like a curb got destroyed and then we have to fix it, would that be a related expense that we may not see a lot of some of that stuff yet?
Yes, I've already communicated with DPW and asked if any of that happened during the storm. But to your point, we'll keep an ongoing track because we don't know how long the county or the state will consider
Gotcha.
storm damage.
Mhm. And residents can be helpful to point out spots that they think might have had.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And they access satellite before and after images to help
Oh, neat.
quantify, qualify, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The assessment roll notice of grievance day was published in our paper, and I wanted to make sure everyone knows that grievance day is the 17th, which is this coming Tuesday, from 3 to 7 p.m., held in Village Hall. And speaking of schedules, this coming Monday, Village Hall will be closed in observance of President's Day,
Where are they having their grievance day?
in the conference room usually.
Okay.
Thank you for asking, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
It has been the practice that we in the clerk's office let everyone know the follow-through on our action items from previous meetings. At this time, I just want to talk a little bit about the approved hazard communication program. That was relayed to the Department of Labor. I think it's important to note that all our statutory requirements and everything that was asked for, all the requirements have been met. So the deadline date for that has not yet passed, but we came in at the deadline date or prior. The equipment offer, this part is very exciting, between the village and Verizon was fully executed, and we have, our IT consultant has provided to Verizon a list of phones that are necessary and to which locations they belong, so those are on order. So the process has started. Any questions on any of those thus far? We do have 6 resolutions for this evening's meeting because they are time sensitive, and apologies for adding one at the last moment. If you'd like to discuss that, we can do that because I know it was just received. It's a proposal from GEI for gully planting oversight related to Phase 1 of the East Beach Bluff project. It's for the reforestation program. It is a proposal for a total of $4,500, which includes an initial site meeting for scope of work, inspection and approval of the plants and landscape materials prior to installation, observation of the installation, and then a final check to ensure that everything was done properly. We'll also, of course, be on site. We will have village representatives on site. Our horticulturist will be helping throughout the process as well, as will our engineers. So I didn't know if we had any questions regarding that before we move to the other resolutions first.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why is it beyond the capabilities of our? So they're overseeing the plantings. DPW is doing the plantings. Is that, or Parks is doing the planting, or contractors doing? I guess
Contractor.
Okay, and the reason we have to have a contractor is because of I assume because of the
Scope
the
is
project itself, like, or just the
grade.
plate,
It's the scope,
site.
the grade, it's the scope, the grade, the equipment involved. You know, you have to be careful where you step. I mean, there
Yeah.
are
I don't know.
nuances. There are nuances to the plantings, right?
Yep, and this was part of, correct me if I'm remembering things not correctly. I think there was a mention of this in one of the annual reports that is required to be filed either with DEC or Department of State, right? And that the Citizens Commission on Erosion pointed out that there had not been a follow-up on that item in the report, right? So rewind to my point of being annoyed with GEI for charging us for answering this commission's questions. Those questions are going to get them another $4,500, which the project is necessary, but I just want to point out again that GEI, nickel and diming us, on questions from the commission that has generated work for them is frustrating.
Duly noted.
So they have a contractor that's going to come in and complete the work, and there are plans in place that the contractor is going to follow. Why not just let the contractor do the work, and then, you know, they're responsible for what it's supposed to be? Like, why are we paying an additional $4,500 to put GEI, to have them just sit there and look at it and say that's how it has to be? The contractor should know, because we're paying the contractor to do this project. So why are we additionally paying a contractor to do the project, and now we're paying GEI to supervise the contractor? The contractor should be capable to do the project without having to give GEI another $4,500.
It's my understanding, and I'm not advocating for
No, I
it.
understand. I'm just mentioning it to the board.
My understanding of it is that it's another layer of protection, because you have a contractor that is planting, similar to your question, Trustee Hill, about DPW. You have a contractor that is planting, and that contractor may know how to plant, but this is a little bit more nuanced. Same word I used before, just because of the grade, because of the condition, because of the types of plants, because of how they have to be planted. That's my understanding.
Completely understand that, but we have to agree that the contractor that's coming in, as you mentioned, is specifically is bringing in equipment that can handle this project. So I just don't see how it makes sense to have pay GEI another $4,500. That's just me. Pay GEI another $4,500. It just doesn't make any sense. Let the contractor do their job. That's it. They'll do it right. We're paying them to do it right. Let them do their job. We don't need to waste another $4,500 to have GEI, sign off on it.
You know, I hear what you're saying, and Kyle, I hear what you said, and I get it. I look at all the projects the village is doing, and if we don't have supervision on those projects, most of the time, they don't get done the way you want them to get done. So, this requires, and I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
But, we have a horticulturist now on staff that probably, if she was a little bit more experienced, could probably handle this and probably will take some of the burden of paying GEI off of the village, because she'll be there with Laura, the landscape engineer, to see how everything is working, and then God willing, she will remain with the village and continue to oversee the maintenance of the bluff, and it won't require a professional landscape. Well, she is a professional landscape engineer, so it won't require a contracted engineer. So this is sort of like our last engagement here on phase one with GEI. GEI is designing phase two, so that remains to be seen, but I think Christine will have the capability of being able to take some of the time and talent out of this. This is a maximum of $4,500 to be charged by the hour. So if we don't hit that number, we don't hit that number, and that would be the goal, is to keep that under that number. But this is an initial meeting on site to make sure that Terry actually understands the scope and where things go and how things need to be cut and what needs to be done, and so their people can do the work the right way.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Whose design is it?
It's Laura from GEI.
Okay, so I would say it's probably more analogous to a construction project, where an engineer designs it, develops the bids, it goes out to a reputable contractor to build it, and then a construction manager to ensure that it's built to the engineer's specs. If this was our private business, I would say yes, that's probably a good idea to not have oversight, to save a couple of dollars. The history on the bluff, and to ensure that their design, how are we gonna hold the person who designed it accountable for a failed design when they have a finger to point to say, well, we weren't there when it was put down, we would have never done that? Just from a liability standpoint, just wanted to add that.
It's been a long time coming, and I think $4,500 would, the max of $4,500, the money well spent. I understand what you're saying, and, it's sort of like, we did this, so now we're going to charge you more but in the long run, I think $4,500 is well worth it to avoid this, well, they did it, we did it, and the village is left holding the bag.
And we've seen that already.
Yeah.
And then the plant native seed mix in this, that comports with what the Civic Association recommended, right? I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
It was endorsed by the Civic Association, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because they did take a lot of time to
Yeah, yes.
really do that.
Sure,
So,
yep.
thank you.
Laura, and Laura Schwarnoff is one of the most respected and sought-after landscape architects, environmental landscape architects out there right now. And so, and anytime we double-check her work, it's like, oh yeah, that's good, so. We're gonna run that in order of the resolutions?
Yes,
Okay.
but unless you'd like the parking update first, Mayor. I do have a brief parking update.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Thank you. So I wanted to let everyone know that we have been meeting internally as a group regarding parking and parking permits and how to move forward. What's the easiest way internally and what's the easiest way for our residents? So we're getting there. And I wanted everyone to know that. One of the first things that we're doing is we're exploring the use of a vendor, which is also used from the town of Brookhaven, to see if what that vendor provides is compatible with the companies that we're currently using. And we would do that because that would tie in driver's license information with what we currently have. If we're able to match everything together, then that would be a lot easier on us internally and a lot easier on the resident who would not have to upload all their license and registration information. So that's one facet. We're working on that. Secondarily, on advice of council, the village is working to standardize its required documentation to prove residency. So that's also in the mix. We are working on stickers for our next parking deadline, going back to the sticker system for residents. Internally, we're told it's a lot easier. It's easier for our officers to spot. This is something that we're looking to roll out for 2027, because right now our residents are good with their permits through the end of this year. So we're looking for right after Thanksgiving of this year to start a rollout on that. In the meantime, we've ordered what we're calling the colored hang tags, which are for merchants and Belterre residents. I've asked our administrative person in the office to order quite a bit fewer than we did last year, just for some savings, because we didn't need that, so we were able to negotiate a lower quantity. So that's just a brief update. And with that, we have resolution number 21126, which is a resolution approving the attached invoice from Dino Rinaldi, DBA Budding Picasso's, Inc., in the amount of $400 for work performed related to the dedication of the Recreation Office in the Village Center to Ron Carlson to commemorate 50 years of employment with the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 21126, resolution appointing Daniel Gross as the CEHA, Coastal Erosion Hazard Area Management Administrator for the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution number 21126, resolution authorizing Mayor Shepard to sign the attached letter in support regarding financing for the Port Jefferson Commons LLC project through an application to the Suffolk County Affordable and Workforce Housing Infrastructure and Acquisition Program. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Discussion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm always going to take the opportunity to
Yeah,
talk
no.
about the merits of this project because housing can be a controversial subject. But this is truly for, one, it's one of the, I know we don't like to use the word blighted, but it's one of the blighted spots in Upper Port or South Village. But it's for workforce housing, and based on the income thresholds, a huge percentage of village employees would qualify to live there, and the target incomes and salaries, these are kind of your first, second, third year, fourth year nurses at a nursing school. And to be, a new nurse that lives up there, works at St. Charles or Mather, I mean, you'd be set. And when I talked to the developer about this, most of the residents graduate out of these buildings within 5 years, meaning that they start earning more money where they no longer qualify to live here, which is exactly how the program is supposed to work. So.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 421126, resolution approving the use of village property at the Drowned Meadow Cottage Museum for the construction and staging of a shed to house the 1776 armed whaleboat, and further approving housing of that whaleboat on the first floor of the village center while the shed is being built. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Discussion.
Yep.
Is, because this has been somewhat related, will they have to go through all of the same building permits just like everyone else does?
So we are running them through the building department.
Yes.
Yes.
They're already
So
in
they
the-
will be accountable to all of our codes and building codes and inspections and everything, and you can't get anything past Josephine, so that will,
I believe that.
Yep.
Already in process.
Yes, so the answer is yes, and, Bob, do you want to talk about this a little bit? Or you want me to?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so there's been kind of a discussion about where the shed should go because the whaleboat needs a place to put it. If I've talked about this before, just tell me you already understand this, but
You have, but it's cool and you should say it again.
okay. So in order to keep this replica of an armed whaleboat, 1776 armed whaleboat, seaworthy, which is the purpose and the goal, it has to be protected and out of the elements. So LISEC, the Bayless Boat Shop is building it. It should be finished in March. There's preliminary designs for the shed, and they're going to go in front of the Architectural Review Committee as well. And if they haven't already, but LISEC has been able to engage Jacques Grant to actually finalize the architectural design. Jacques is who designed the boat shed, the boat building shed, the LISEC boat shed, boat building. What do you?
Both building shed,
Okay.
but yeah, LISEC building, yes.
Where they build the boats.
Good.
And so we're very happy to hear that. And another aspect is that Assemblywoman Cassay has earmarked some DASNY funds for a grant, a SAM grant, for the shed, which will help them kick off the project pending its arrival here. You know, maybe, I don't know how long DASNY grants take a little while. But we have Lisa Maddow now, so maybe they don't take actually that long. So for $100,000. So, and the estimated cost, and this is rough, it'll come together soon, but they're looking at a total cost of about $150,000. So we're trying to figure out if there's any way that we can use parkland fees for that. We were asking the Parks and Rec Advisory Council if that's something that they would consider recommending, if it's worthwhile. This is going to be an educational part of it. It'll be used for education. It'll be used to, again, protect the whaleboat. And the location of it is right next to, the planned location is right next to the Drowned Meadow Cottage Museum, which brings the educational components together. And then in terms of housing the whaleboat in the village center until the shed is completed by the timber Guild, which I'm told they can build it pretty quickly once they have the material and the design. So the Village Center staff is very excited to have the whaleboat being displayed there as part of the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution and independence, because it really showcases that whaleboat. It's a natural location to showcase it, and it'll enable people who are going around with their Suffolk County 250 passports to get stamped. The whaleboat has a stamp. Drowned Meadow has a stamp for your passport. Everybody get your passports. Maybe we should get a bunch of passports here so we can hand them out to the residents and visitors. But yeah, so it's the project's really coming together. But it does require this board's approval to house the shed on that piece of village property, and also to acknowledge that the whaleboat will be demonstrated in the village center while we wait for that shed to be constructed. So.
And then just for my understanding, that corner where the Drowned Meadow Cottage Museum is, that the village owns that whole
Correct.
corner, and then do we own the house too, or
The Drowned Meadow Cottage
the
Museum?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
And then, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it meets the setback standard.
Great.
I was very specific about that. I'm like, you sure we could build that there? So,
The shed, once it's completed and the whaleboat is housed there, it will allow for school children and whatever to exhibits of the boat.
yeah, a couple other things to that. To your point, there is there's an agreement that we're working on, right? We're looking to get some final finishing touches on that agreement and insurance waivers and things like that, because there are a lot of people, a lot of entities that are interested in taking the boat and using it as part of their 250th celebration events, so including New York State Parks and whatnot. So those permits, those applications will come through the clerk's office, and also through our historian and our two historians, just so that.
Is this board aware, because I recently became aware,
Oh, no.
that people want to rent this to go on the water?
We're not aware of that.
Madam Clerk, I yield.
It may be.
Not may, it's in the agreement.
In the agreement that I was that Attorney Moran and I were reviewing again yesterday, okay, there is language that talks about actually the boat going onto the water and being rowed. So
By other,
Road.
and by counterparties in the agreement?
yes,
Okay, what are the insurance implications of that?
We
We have
reached out to our risk manager, who provided insurance requirements. I double-checked with the clerk to make sure that they were aware that the intent was to trailer this thing, put it in the water, and then someone rents it for $1,000 a day to row your boat. I wasn't sure, never heard it discussed in this room that was an intent. I thought, as you just artfully said, Mayor, there's an event somewhere, it gets trailered there, and look at our antique whaleboat. Not put it in the water and row. So I wanted to make sure that that's understood.
So to distinguish what we heard at the meeting on Tuesday was they want to indemnify the seaworthiness of it.
yes, that I know,
I bet they
yes.
do.
So that the seaworthiness has to be tested
Yes.
upon completion of the vessel.
Yes, that was brought to my attention.
Is that what we're talking about
No,
now?
ma'am.
It doesn't
Okay.
appear so. I
Hold
think,
on, give me a second and I will.
But that's separate from this
Yes.
resolution
yes,
right now,
yes,
right?
it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is. I think
The documents haven't
Yeah.
been finalized yet.
and to the attorney's point, if that, assuming that is the intention of the group, then I will reconfirm with our insurer that the understanding is such, because it does seem, if that's the case, that the insurance is low, that the insurance that's being asked for maybe should be higher.
I don't know for that. But I don't even know if we've agreed to let them, to let
There's a
others
Schedule
take it
B
out.
attached to the agreement, at least that I received, which is the rental agreement. And Schedule B is intended activities. Exhibitor boarding the artifact on land, third parties boarding the artifact on land, exhibitor launching the artifact in the water, exhibitor towing the artifact to the water, exhibitor boarding the artifact in the water, third parties boarding the artifact in the water, exhibitor rowing the artifact, third parties rowing the artifact, an exhibitor installing and rigging a sail, exhibitor sailing artifact in the water, third party sailing artifact in the water,
I think somebody used AI to write that.
exhibitor firing blanks in the swivel gun, which requires prior appurtenance. I read this and I was surprised.
I didn't
What
read
is
it.
the
I didn't see
origin
it.
of that?
That's why we have an attorney.
What is the origin of that document?
I can tell you this came from, I'm probably gonna tell you it came from this one.
This one,
Yeah, no,
I didn't create it.
this is from, would a Mark Sternberg make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the only other name on here I don't
Yes.
recognize or see.
There's nothing wrong with us striking everything that makes no sense, like nobody's firing blanks in that gun. Certainly not third parties or the people who are renting it.
Well, it's a demonstration. They do this in Revolutionary War reenactments all the time. That's
Yeah, I know,
basically a
I-
reenactment. It's just a reenactment. But the language has
Okay.
to be
Yeah.
addressed, you know?
Yes, it does.
I mean, we have to be happy with the level of risk.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want real bullets? Is that what you want?
Yeah, no one should trust me with real bullets, okay? Just saying.
Yeah.
I thought we were building a shed for us, we can come look at it.
That's it. That's what we're voting on.
And then I understood where you could tow it places. That made
Yeah.
sense to me
Yes.
too.
Mhm.
Third
For
parties.
display. That was my
Gonna have a
understanding.
bachelor party on the whaleboat. Everyone grab.
So this has this from the point of MOU to today. This project has been it's a really incredible project, but the devil's in the details. You have to really pay attention. Yeah. So we'll work through them. I think we need to.
Still needs a shed.
Still needs a
Back
shed.
to
and
the
we
shed.
still have to
Okay.
vote.
To the
Back
shed.
to the
Okay.
shed.
Any other questions about this particular resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution number 5, 21126, resolution approving the attached street lighting customer acknowledgement between the Village of Port Jefferson and Wellsback Electric of Long Island on a month-to-month basis, authorizing the solicitation of a request for proposals for the provision of street lighting maintenance throughout the Village of Port Jefferson, and authorizing Mayor Shepro to sign the customer acknowledgement on behalf of the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I mean, just FYI, we're going to go out for RFP on this, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So this is
Just authorizing the solicitation of a request for proposal.
okay.
Resolution number 6, 21126, resolution approving the attached proposal, authorizing the use of Harborfront Park as the host site for the 2026 Suffolk County Oyster Jamboree as a part of the Suffolk 250 commemoration, with the Jamboree to be held on August 15th, 2026, with a rain date of August 16th, 2026. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Just for edification for the public who's watching this, I did send individual emails to each trustee, so you had some background on this prior to this meeting, except for Bob, because he was in the 250. Did I send one to you, Bob?
You did.
Okay, all right, well, to Bob too.
Yeah.
And so, this opportunity was brought to the village by the county. We were contacted by the county last week because they realized they could not have their oyster jamboree at Smiths Point Park this year, because the bridge out to Smiths Point Park is under repair, and they don't want to encourage major traffic going across it while it's being repaired. So they reached out to the village and asked if the village would be interested in hosting the jamboree, and we're calling it, what are we calling it, Bob? A frolic festival, because in 250 years ago at Strong Homestead Park, they used to have oyster frolics all the time. The Strong family did. So we like that terminology. Thanks to Mark, we learned about that, Mark Sternberg. So the county, obviously aware that this requires board approval, they're kind of trying to get ahead of deadlines on advertising, so they asked us to put this before the board tonight. And I suggested that it would be a good idea to put it before the board tonight. So I had spoken with representatives of the bid and the chamber, and the requisite questions came through, which I kind of anticipated, and that is, how are we going to get people into the village? They're all going to be at the park. How can we make sure that the event activates our retail and commercial district? Which I was assured by the oyster growers that they're comfortable doing this, and they have experience doing this with Oyster Bay when they run the same program out in they run the Oyster Bay Oyster Festival. So the county has committed to completing the permit application and providing the requisite fee to have this hosted on Harborfront Park. They're developing a safety plan with FRES and Suffolk County Police. They'll provide the crossing guards. They'll provide, through their transportation department, they'll provide shuttles for parking amplification up in the south area of the village and over into Brookhaven Town if needed. And they are happy and willing to have regular meetings with our village chamber, bid, and Long Island Oyster Growers Association to help activate the commercial district, as I said. So county has committed their budget lines. They have 250th budget lines. They have budget lines for the Oyster Festival itself, and their planning grants will come into play on this too. The what was I going to say? So there's not really a downside to this, I don't think, and only to see if, we also learned at the meeting on Tuesday that the village's history with oysters is very deep, and it goes back, like I said, to Strong Homestead Park, and also to what's happening now is the Harbor Commission is encouraging and sponsoring oyster growing right now to keep the harbor clean. So anyway, that's the background. If there's any further information that you need to help with this vote tonight, any questions?
Yeah, I got a call from Barbara Ransom from the chamber, addressing or asking a lot of questions that you just answered. Those are her main concerns, where would the county be paying the fee, and then making sure that the vendors push the people, or the people go to the village and go to the establishments within the village. So, and parking. So
I think
those areas have all been addressed. So.
There may be an oyster crawl in our future. Who knows?
I was just going to say, is there a potential that this could be an annual thing? Because this is really a fabulous idea.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Glad you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be excellent.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Great.
Lastly, we have resolution number 7, 21126, resolution approving the attached proposal submitted by GEI Consultants in the amount of $4,500 for gully planting oversight in relation to the reforestation of the East Beach Bluff, and authorizing Mayor Shepro to sign the proposal on behalf of the Village of Port Jefferson. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I didn't, I wasn't in favor. I'm
All
opposed.
opposed?
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes my report this evening, unless anyone has questions or comments for me.
Clerk Perillo, if I wanted to put a motion forward, should I do that during my presentation, or can I just do it, should I do it now? How would you want me to do that?
I believe that could happen at any time. Is that correct, Attorney?
I'll yield to the mayor. Procedurally, a trustee can make a motion at any time for anything.
Okay.
Generally, we don't vote in a work session unless we have to, but I'll yield.
Okay.
I mean, it's not wickedly inappropriate. We do resolutions, but
So I'd like to put a motion forward to codify the resident discount at the golf course, the 40% resident discount.
What do you mean motion forward?
Well, I'd like to codify that, the resident discount that I was told when we were at a meeting, we're going to look in the basement, and then trustee Ugrinsky said, there's no quantification that the residents get a 40% discount. So I said, after this meeting with Kemper, and we can discuss that later on, the Kemper meeting, I felt it was important
Why don't we do this, Matt?
to get that, let me finish.
No, I'm not going to let you finish.
Well, I'm going to get finished
What I'd like
anyway.
to do is do
I thought
this
it would
in
be
order.
important to get that on the books.
When you're called and you want to make your
You got it.
work session report, you discuss it during your work session report.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's what I asked.
Next up, I'll ask our treasurer to go through his report.
Thank you, Mayor. I will also attempt to be brief. Talked a lot about the work with the audit, so we can move on from there. Property tax collection, working closely with the clerk's office and the tax receiver to produce the first tax lien notice listing that will be going out to the paper, correct me if I'm wrong, Clerk Perillo, but next week, next Thursday. So that will be getting over to the clerk's office tomorrow. Also, grant reimbursement wise, we did finally receive the Centennial Wall monies. So I will be having a resolution for the end of the month to set that budget based off of what was discussed already. And also got notification that I have it in my work session that we submitted the request number 2 for the hazard mitigation flood reduction study, and got a notification they finally approved that, so we'll be getting that payment. Will be coming forward very shortly. Just to wrap up the fiscal 2025 audit, we do have the AFR. One of the new state requirements not only with the New York.gov that we had to go to, the .gov, but the AFR has to now be posted online on the village website. So I believe I've sent that to you, Clerk Perillo, and we will work with our tech team to make sure that it's up there on the page and has its own little link that you can click on, as well as the 2025 financials to be up under that page as well. Audit planning, we touched on this, but the third week of July, the auditors will be here to do their beginning fiscal 26 audit. This year, just for comparison, they weren't able to get here until the end of October. So we've moved that timeline way up, and we don't have any conversions. So again, we expect this to be a smooth process. We know what they need. We've gone through this twice. We should be able to get everything wrapped up before the AFR is due, which would be the end of September. So that would be the timeline to, early fall to have the next presentation and not late winter. Clerk Perillo talked about the parking, the country club. I have in my report kind of where we were as of 2/5. And Mayor, if it pleases you, I can bring this report a little bit up to speed with where we were as of 2/10.
That would please me.
Okay. So I don't have the breakdown as to how many members, but just for comparison, we have, as of 2/10, 309 memberships have been paid for so far. Compared to last year at the same date, that was 188. 188. We have brought in $1.39 million in membership dues. Last year was $716,000. $240,000 of assessment. Last year was $131,000. And then minimums we've brought in this year $122,000. Last year was $73,500 as of the same date. So we're well ahead of getting the renewals to pay and get that money in. And the benefit of that is it goes right into the bank. Danielle has one of those little check scanners, and it goes right into the bank, and we can start earning interest on those investments immediately and trying to really maximize the revenue that we can bring in for the country club. So that is the really big benefit of that. And we're going to continue to work on the communications to make sure that everybody knows when the deadlines are so that we can continue to get everybody up to speed and paid so that nobody has to be chased down.
Excuse me, Stephen, I think it also bears mentioning that we have, this is also reflective of the fact that this year there was much better communication out to the potential members, the renewals, and a little better process and procedures in place now.
Stephen,
Just
can
going
I-
to continue.
Of the 309, do you have a breakdown of how many are resident, how many non-resident?
I don't have that, but as of 2/5, I mean, I have it, it's in my report, how it kind of breaks down. It looks like it's pretty, split down the middle. There's a lot more resident couples than non-resident couples, but it kind of, it varies a little bit all over the place. So, but I can certainly make sure that I have that, and get everybody up to speed on that breakdown for the next report that I have. I can break that out.
Yeah.
Stephen, was there a change in the payment schedule? Like now, I heard you can pay monthly now at the course?
So there was a payment plan that was offered up to the end of January.
Okay.
And we had 38 members take part of that.
Okay.
Essentially, if they wanted to sign up, they would have their credit card or debit card, whatever they offered, charged on the first of each month up to June 1st, so that they paid the entire membership up to June 1st.
Okay, thank you.
So we had 38 people sign up for that. And then I guess I can stop there. We did update the grant thermometer. Would you like me to grab it?
Yes, please. Mercury's rising. But so is the top number too, though. No, get the other one, Stephen. You have to show the difference. Sure. I mean, so show them the first one first. This was
Right.
circa 2024,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That was the first.
Can they
camera
see that?
see it?
Can you show the camera? There you go.
And been working with our graphic designer to come up with something that can be updated and reprinted, and think that this looks a lot nicer and clearer.
Well, the numbers look nicer too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Show the
we've, so
community.
with Lisa's help and with the support of the treasurer's office, and we've really been working hard to make sure that the grants that we get and that we're awarded, we are able to reconcile and pay our funds back.
Yes.
Because between the borrowing and the number, the highest number up there, the 8 million, 8.2 practically, a lot, can you describe what that really, what's the major number that contributes to that?
So the biggest part of that number itself is the Bluff, the East Beach Bluff grant, the FEMA grant. So, I mean, if you were to take that number out, all of the other outstanding grants we have really done a great job of bringing that in, including all of the recharge basin grant of 1.13 million. So we're at 30% of our goal, and we're going to just keep clawing back all the money that, that we have committed to us, including that grant reimbursement number 2 that's coming.
So thank you for putting that together, and Fran, too.
Yes,
She never ceases to impress.
she has a sharp eye.
You
Better
need
than-
check marks on the grants, so you know which ones on the left.
So these are all of, that we've
Those are all that
collected.
are in.
Yes,
Oh,
You
got
know what?
it.
You're right,
I
though.
misunderstood.
All
Okay.
the grants should be listed on there that are
Yeah.
outstanding,
And
and then you have the check marks that total the, yeah, that's a good idea. Why
Yeah.
didn't you guys think of that? Good idea.
I don't know, Mayor.
Yeah,
But it
no,
might
that was a
get
good
busy.
idea. I like it. Okay. Does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report unless there's questions.
Any, Trustee Grinsky, you want to follow up?
Sure. Yeah, so we don't have to go through any of the audit updates, but I do want to thank R.S. Abrams again for the work that they put in, because that was a heavy lift. So, and we don't have to do it again. One and done. I will cover off on the golf course, however. So right now, obviously, no one is playing golf out on the course. So the pros are hard at work doing a couple of things. They're keeping up their certifications. They are planning all of the scheduling for the entire season. So everything that we know, Pat and Jake have instituted a calendar that they are now sharing that allows them to coordinate, grounds work with events, so that we don't wind up with a situation where we're sending out, a tournament group and there's a bunch of guys trying to get something done. So I think that's going to make everything more effective and certainly set up for some of the additional activities that Lessings is going to be bringing, and have sort of a comprehensive calendar that we can then publish out to the membership. Let's see, we are also reconfiguring the pro shop a little bit. Want to make it more welcoming and also make the membership administrator more available to the membership, and give the pros a place where they can get some work done on lesson planning and scheduling, et cetera. So,
You mean Danielle?
yes,
A coordinator, right?
membership, well, what is the village title?
Membership coordinator.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we've been meeting on the budget. They're probably the group that's furthest along for the 2027 budget, as that was an important input to building out the rates for this year. And the clerk has already mentioned some of the open positions that we've got that we're trying to fill. And with the pro shop reconfiguration, we will be coordinating between IT and finance and Pat.
Are they getting the new phones too up there?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, and in the meantime, the grounds folks are servicing, obviously doing all the servicing and sharpening of tools and machinery. They have been helping with snow removal and salting and sanding all of the stairs over by the gym, for example. Making
Hope
sure
so.
that, there was a water issue during, 4 days ago, when it was freezing out, so that had to be cleaned up. And then the other thing that they're doing, which is fairly important, is the cataloging and prep of all the chemicals for the year. There is DEC reporting that's associated with that, and various other sort of regulatory reporting that they have to do on an annual basis. So this is sort of what they do in their downtime. And Kemper. So Kemper has now completed all of the member surveys I think last count was almost 400 non-member resident surveys that were brought back. So they are now grinding on that to do the analysis. I've asked them to provide some comps from other places in terms of the suggestions that are being made and the satisfaction levels that the survey is driving. The Board of Governors, the Country Club Management Advisory Council have, at this point, almost all been touched by Kemper in terms of interviews. We're finishing some one-on-one interviews with the golf course staff, and we've established, weekly meetings to make sure this keeps going. So tomorrow I expect to get an update on exactly where things stand and what next steps are, and make sure that we're staying on schedule. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that? That you may know? That's new?
Yep.
Okay.
What was the participation of the members?
The members
Yeah,
was
was-
not that high. It was
No?
maybe 180, almost 200,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's
then
out of
Out of
550,
out of
that's not bad.
560. So
It's a good
percentage-wise,
ratio.
it's
Yeah.
Statistically
it's still
significant.
higher, still higher than the actual resident return, if you think about it. But I am happy that we got that many back. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that was an important opportunity for the residents to answer some questions related to what they would like to see and what would be meaningful to them. So, if you want to dig it out of your email and still submit it, there's still some time. So,
When is the deadline?
the deadline hasn't been set yet. We're waiting for that second wave to come in, and then we'll probably set the deadline. Well, tomorrow we'll set the deadline for a certain date where it'll close.
Trustee Ugrinsky, first, thank you for allowing, helping us set up the meeting with Kemper, that Trustee Giuliano and I attended. There was some concerns coming out of that meeting as far as what Kemper's agenda was and what we were paying them to do. So I asked Amanda, tell us what process you're going forward, and it seemed to me that their initial proposal to us would be that they want to take over the golf course, run the golf course, and charge the golf course and I asked the number, and she said between $10,000 and $15,000 a month, and that the savings to the village would be that we would save workers' comp, and all the employees of the golf course would then become Kemper employees. So, so we asked a couple questions, Bob and I, about, how do you get around the union contracts, that some of them are union members, and we don't pay, everything that's paid is paid for by the golf course. The village doesn't pay any of that. So I was trying to figure out, where they were trying to go with their presentation, because it seemed.
All right, so
But hold on.
let me, yeah, okay. Because I want to answer that,
Sure.
because remember when we did the actual contract, there are very specific deliverables that we wanted, that we are using to inform the master plan for the entire country club, as well as improve our own operations, okay? So I don't care who you go to for that sort of an engagement, their motivation is going to be the desire to run the club. Has that been discussed with them? No. Is that part of our plan? No. I would suggest that if that were to ever happen, we would be having those conversations far before contracting with anyone, Kemper or otherwise.
Right, and that's not what we contracted for what they're doing now, right? They're just
They're
doing.
doing
Right.
what we contracted.
Right, that
for.
would be.
Do they want
Oh, sure.
to manage it?
But
Of
that would be
course they
phase
do.
two if they want, and if we want to.
If we wanted to,
Right.
but we haven't even gotten to a
Right.
point
We
where
have to
we
use,
can.
we have to use the proper vernacular. It would not be phase two. It would, that implies that there's a phase one and a
Right, that
phase
would
two.
be a separate.
That's a
Good.
whole different
Yes.
animal,
Right.
RFP.
Oh,
thing
absolutely.
that
No,
is-
that's, Yeah, good distinction.
And I'm sure who's ever having that discussion with you, I don't know, I think you said a name, I don't know the name.
Amanda.
I'm
and some
sure
other gentleman.
Amanda does not have operational binding of Kemper. And let me just leave that right there.
Yeah.
If you
It was
if you
just-
talk to
right.
the
No,
cab
it's just
driver and not the
discussion.
guy who owns the cab company, you might get a different answer.
No doubt, but if their main thing in
Yeah.
this presentation, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, was to transition the course to them, because that's what they do. They are course managers. So, and really, when we were speaking to them, I said, well, what would be the first thing you do? And she goes, well, I would eliminate the resident discount and have everybody pay the same price. Am I wrong about that, Bob?
So you should
That's
use
just
that
it.
as an input for a future conversation, should we ever have it, on whether we want to outsource the management of the country club.
What you should
right?
do with information like that, and I don't know when it received or when that meeting happened, is immediately report it back to the clerk, so the clerk could generate an immediate letter to be, what the hell are you doing? This is not what we retained you to do, and you need to roll it back, or we'll find someone else to do the job that we retained you to do. That's insane to me. There was an RFP, it was awarded for a very specific, particular purpose.
You heard this conversation exactly as he's
Yeah.
reporting it?
Yeah, no.
A letter needs to go out tomorrow.
Why didn't
So-
you tell anybody? Like, why didn't you guys tell anybody?
Because we're here today discussing it. We
When
figured-
was this meeting?
Friday?
Friday.
It's not that long.
Friday.
No, it's not that
So-
long.
But in the future, when you guys see something that glaringly opposed to what we're paying somebody to do, please report that immediately, because there's legal ramifications there as well. And I'm going to suggest we stop talking about it right this second.
I would,
I'm going to suggest
Okay.
we stop talking about it right this second.
Noted.
Because if they're soliciting a purpose,
They're not.
sounds like they are.
No. No. I understand what you're saying, but
They took the
it
bait.
was,
so may I just point out, like, 15 years in management consulting, okay? It's one of, this
I would
engagement is
listen to your
one of
attorney's
their.
advice.
Can we
and
please
contract.
have
Talking
this
about it.
discussion? Well, your personal experience in private industry is not government.
Fair enough.
Dave, you didn't think we should discuss it anymore, right?
Not at all.
Okay.
Noted. Okay.
Sylvia, if you want me to write something up and send it to you, I can, whatever you need me to do.
We're not discussing it anymore.
Well, I'm just talking to Sylvia.
could do-
Yeah.
We have an opportunity to discuss it, hopefully sooner than later.
Okay.
Hopefully this hour.
Anything else, Cena, that you have for
No, that was,
budget, finance?
budget and finance. I mean, what is coming next? I think, the budget. So we have, we're currently in phase 1 of 3. That gets us to a final budget. We have gone through all of the director, the department head meetings on what they need to operate effectively in 2027. This is the fully loaded boat, right? So in phase 2, we aggregate all of that and to understand what that financial position would be for the village. And then there are decisions that have to be made in terms of what can we do, what can't we do. And then we'll bring a budget to put in front of everyone as a draft. And that date will be, it's final in April, but when is the first?
State law requires the tentative to be stamped in by the 20th of March.
Okay, so there's a date we're working towards.
So we have a public hearing noticed, or?
For April 8th for the tentative budget.
Yeah.
For April 8th for the tentative budget. Because your microphone's on. That's okay, that's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Giuliano?
okay, thank you. Start with DPW, and as we know, there are a couple of snow events, January 18th, January 25th through the 26th. That led to some vehicle issues, that most of them were repaired in shop. There were a couple of, they're waiting for a couple more parts to come in to complete the repairs for the vehicles that that went down during the plowing. Leaf program, just to give you an update on the leaf, or final numbers on the leaf program. Total yardage that was disposed was 5,510 cubic yards of leaves, which meant that there were 472 truck trips. Total dumping fees were $110,200, and total fuel costs for the village vehicles was $63,000. So, leaf program cost the village a pretty penny to conduct. Parks.
How does that, sorry, do you remember how that compares to last year? 'Cause wasn't it over, last year it was over by like 30,000 or something like that?
Yeah, because of the rain.
It was the
heavy.
rain that made, yeah.
It was snow this year.
Yeah,
Right.
snow this year.
And I think at the time I asked the then DPW superintendent if there was any thoughts on moving it up, because when it sits on the roads, it seems like it's just waiting to get heavier.
Problem is, you can't move it up until the leaves fall, so.
I know, but there was still they're down by December for the most part.
We just don't have, the staff can
Yeah.
only address so many piles during the day and methodically go from east to west.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm not
I know, I'm
pretending it's
hearing what you're
easy. I
saying.
just think like if we can move it up even just 2 weeks, we might see.
Then they always have to go back and return to the east side because all the leaves on the east side wouldn't have fallen by that time.
Gotcha.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That is true. I live on the east side. It would significantly affect it.
So the LEAF program could use some assistance from the
Yeah.
Conservation Advisory Council, I think.
Good idea.
And maybe even the tree committee could start talking about it. Like, we need some advice from our residents as to, do they like it? Do they not like it? What do they want to do? Do they want to spend $130,000 on leaf removal? Or do they want to each, use their own contractor or take care of them themselves? So that's,
No, good idea. Bring it up
See
to
if they
both
can-
councils.
okay.
As far as parks, they removed the holiday decorations and they hung the new decorations for the ice festival, for the lights and the pole banners. Joe Erlin Field, the branches were trimmed and clipped and removed so that, when softball season starts, they'll be able to play unobtrusively. Work has begun, as everybody has noticed, I'm sure, on East Broadway, the retaining wall, and they're making nice progress. I mean, going past it,
The
they've
steel sheeting is all
Yeah.
installed
Yeah.
already. They're done installing the steel sheeting.
Yeah.
Yep. But they won't be able to start the concrete work until temperatures dip consistently.
sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm surprised. They're
I
making
know.
very good progress.
yeah.
The Recreation Department, senior club programs have started. Winter Tide Concert Series started February 6th. Skating has brought in 9,200 people as of February 3rd. The Farmers Market has 32 vendors. Summer camp program are being developed. Swim platform for the beach has arrived. And to make
sounds
you
like
warm,
Mayberry.
to make you warm, the beaches will open on June 26th. So
forward
there's
to.
something to look forward
The
to.
light
as
at
far
the
as-
end of
Before
the
you know it.
tunnel.
That's
Yeah.
right, and it'll be here before you know it. Then we'll be complaining, "Oh my God, it's so hot outside."
Never. I'll never complain that it's too hot. I feel like you have to pick one.
Parks and Rec, they discussed the garden Isabel, the garden manager, reviewed and revised some of the community garden rules, and the council approved it.
When do we
Just-
start those applications? Okay.
Nets are ordered for the Joe Erlin Field, so that's part of the branch program that the Parks and Rec Department did. Benches are being restored. They also discussed the misting station possibility at the Rocket Ship Park. And they're investigating some uses for the 6-acre park. They want to reach out to the homeowners association, for input, to see what the ideas are for the 6-acre park, if anything happens with that. But right now, it's just all in planning.
6-acre park is part of the
discussion.
downtown revitalization planning grant. If we get it, the funding there will,
Okay.
Do we still have the
Okay.
design grant on 6 Acre Park?
we do.
Is
Mhm.
there, do you know off, top of your head
How
what the
long the
deadline-
extension
yeah,
was?
how long the
I
extension
think
is?
2027, but not sure. But we'll just continue to get extensions.
Okay.
Tree committee, the art competition with the elementary school. If you notice on the third floor, all those the paintings or the artwork that was submitted was hung on the third floor, and we'll be giving out. I don't want to say awards.
Recognition.
Some sort of recognition at the Arbor Day Festival. Community planting, they want to develop a community planting at the Triangle property over by the middle school. They're looking for April 25th to do some sort of a planting that, can do something, take out the invasive plants that are there.
I love that.
And revitalize that little triangle. Speaking of Arbor Day, it's April 23rd over at the Harborfront Park, and invitations will be sent out shortly for those. They're also reviewing over 40 codes from different municipalities as far as tree codes. So they're getting ideas from other municipalities, and they're going to be putting them together and making suggestions for a village code. CAC's reviewing the steep slope, or they reviewed the steep slope code, and they made recommendations to the Building and Planning Department. Conservancy, they hosted the.
That currently, I'll just give you a quick update on that. That's currently with our engineer. Just to, there was a prior steep slope code from 2009,
Yes.
10, and never passed it got to the hearing process, but it never was codified.
Right.
So we're taking that one, and they're comparing it with the current one that was developed and seeing which one kind of does make sense from an engineering standpoint.
Which is
so-
also what the CAC did. They actually compared the two, too.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. So they took what the feedback was given to them, to the more modernly written, the most recently written code.
Right.
And so we'll have some feedback on that, and hopefully we'll talk about it at our next meeting.
Good.
I don't know if I'll have time to notice it. Maybe we notice a public hearing on February 25th. I would love to do that. If we notice a public, not for the 25th, but we notice a public hearing for the 25th of March on February 25th. If we can get this code to right? If we can, we need the month.
I think you have time to even wait to the work session, but it doesn't matter, we'll get it done. Whatever
Okay.
you want.
Okay.
The intent is, we'll get it done.
Okay.
What's I mean, I could ask this later, but like, what are the goals with the steep slope code? Like, obviously, runoff and erosion and all those things, but since Port Jeff is already mostly developed, like, what areas would truly be impacted by the updated code?
There's a few parcels that are not developed yet. And it, obviously, we talked about this before, it would not be retroactive to plans that have already been submitted. But if I'm not mistaken, and I haven't looked at it to the point where an attorney has talked me through everything, or the engineers have talked me through everything, but if you want to add to a current property, if you want to raise a property and build a new one, I mean, all
Right.
plans that come in front of the planning board, it's no longer, well, again, I don't want to say what it is and what it isn't, but my understanding would be that it would be codified and not subject to interpretation, right? It would be exactly this is what you have to do. And it's not the planning board makes an exception for this one and this one. That's, again, I don't have the full interpretation of the code right now just yet, but it's not a requirement right now. It is subject to the planning board's discretion.
Gotcha. And then,
But as the mayor
with
said, it's
those-
not necessarily undeveloped properties. It could be
right. That's
a
That
house
has
that
to
they're
keep-
taking down, yeah.
And then those undeveloped properties, would there be kind of like a end goal to turn those into permanent open space? Is that?
That's yes. I mean, that's, if the village has property or is interested in acquiring property, or gets money to acquire property for open space purposes, yes. I mean, I don't think we could sit here and say.
But that's not in the steep slope
Yeah, no, I understand that wouldn't be
operations.
like
No,
in
that's-
the code, but
Like, hey,
is
we'll
that
take that
part of-
Like,
property
if you
off your
can't,
hand
if
because.
if you can't develop the property because the
Right.
steep slope code, then it's worth what it's worth, and somebody will buy it to keep it open. Some,
I'm not sure it's prohibitive. It's just you have to do certain things in order to.
might be cost prohibitive.
Cost
Yeah,
prohibitive,
yeah.
yes, yeah, to address. So, the Assemblywoman's office reached out and wants to meet on, and I think we're meeting next week. It's today, the 11th? Yeah, or this week. To talk about a DEC grant that she's aware of and to talk about some of the properties in the village that are not developed.
Right.
And the first requirement, however, is that the owner has to submit a letter of agreement that,
You have to have a willing seller.
yes, that's legalese, yeah. So, yeah, so discussions.
Sounds good.
Okay. Continuing, Conservancy, had 2 events in one night. Dedication of the Recreation Office for Ron Carlson and the Solo Effect, which was a photo exhibit, or it still is a photo exhibit, featuring photos from one of the foundation families, the first foundation family that we're honoring, Dick and Naomi Solo. So if you haven't had a chance to go see it, go check out the photos. Wonderful photos of village throughout different eras. And Naomi and Dick were very involved in village. Naomi worked for the village, worked with Ron. Wonderful pictures that they have posted there, so take a look at those. We talked about the 250th celebration a little. A logo has been established. Pole flags are going to be created and placed up. We have a 4K run that's planned for November 7th. Theater 3 is, the play is being written, or that will be at Theater 3. Strong Homestead Park, the grant info was submitted by Lisa Mato, and hopefully we'll be getting some money on to develop that park. Suffolk County went in and filmed a little documentary series over at Drown Meadow. It's going to be, and you can view it on County 250 on their website, on the Suffolk County 250 website. Citizens Commission on Erosion, we viewed a PowerPoint presentation of the changing landscape over recent years to see how we got where we are now as far as the bluff and the changes in the slope, as well as the changes plus and minus to the beach. We've added some beach in some areas, and we've lost some beach in other areas. But that was the main crux of the meeting, was just to do a little history and see where we were and where we are now. And that's my report.
Emphasis on local waterfront revitalization plan that the town is working on right now through a Department of State grant is to really make a strong case for the dredging of, removal of the product in Mount Sinai Harbor and bringing it back over to East Beach, and maybe even extending the jetties. We voted on this letter of support for this particular project, and I think it would really be helpful to, if people are in favor of this, just keep bringing it up, just keeps talking about it, and letting the county know, let your contacts know that this is something that's important for erosion protection, and maintaining that inlet is an essential part of the Army Corps of Engineers recommendations for that project.
And that was something that was discussed on Monday at the Civics when the county executive from Maine. We touched upon that a little.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. Okay, thank you. Trustee Franco?
Okay. I attended the school budget, and they are on track to stay underneath the 2% tax cap with all of the, with the budget going on. I also have not had a working group meeting because of my surgery in the knee, but we're going to pick up that next week. I did meet with the Beach Street residents and Stephen Engelbright. We had a meeting at his office about potentially rerouting some people utilizing this as a portion of county land that they can try and take it through the power plant, but he's trying to take that. I don't know that that's going to be that successful, but he's taken that route. I also reached out to the power plant itself, and I was setting up a meeting with the director of the power plant. Assemblywoman Casey is going to attend, and Trustee Giuliano was going to come. And what we would like them to do is reroute their employees to the secondary entrance by Washington area and the power plant and the power lines, rather than them coming down Beach Street, enter on the secondary entrance. So we're going to sit down with them and see if that's a
great idea.
a viable proposal to kind of get them off the street.
On its face, it sounds like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, it seems simple, because they can just use their own back roads to get. So when we go there, and Assemblywoman Casey was kind enough to say that she would come, so that's great. But I did speak to the plant, and they said there's no way they're rerouting trucks from anywhere through there. They said.
Yeah, we've taken a swing at that already.
Listen, I just mentioned it, and he was like, look, it's never happened. I said, all right, I agree, it's never
Who,
happened.
Steve Engelbright said it's never happened?
No, Steve Engelbright wants to connect the road, like take the county land and connect the road. But there are several other options, but we're trying to get through phase like 1. Let's get the employee traffic off Beach Street first. While we're on that, Attorney Moran, the drag out provision, how we doing with that?
Part of my report.
Oh, excellent. Fair enough. So we're moving along with that, too. What else? Let me see, where were we? And I also forwarded, the school district was meeting with the 6th precinct to try and get COPE to sit on Brook and some of the other areas to kind of really enforce traffic. So we sent over the speed data, and they took it to COPE, and they're trying to get them together to get
Excellent.
that working. So we're moving along with that. So that section is a short report, but I do have some other things to talk about while I'm here. Back to the motion to codify the resident discount at the golf course. I'd like to put a motion together tonight for a vote to codify that residents get a 40% discount. Because right now, and I don't want to go back into the conversations that we spoke about earlier, I think it's important that we vote on it and put it to rest. Residents get a 40% discount. It's been going on for 40-plus years, so.
Do you have your data?
What data would you like to have?
That illustrates that it's been going on for 40, I'm not saying it hasn't, I'm just wondering if you have the data.
I spoke to Danielle, and as far back as she could go, residents have gotten a 40% discount. I've been here for 22 years, and when I first moved here, I got a 40% discount. So yes, the 40% discount has been in play for a very long time. I think it's a simple thing to vote on.
I appreciate your anecdotal information, but if you want us to do this, Matt, and I'm not debating, I don't think it's a bad idea, but please bring the data.
What data would you like me to provide to you?
You just described something that was anecdotal. It could be that the rates were 75% different in the early days. They were. But you're saying that it's proven that they've been 40% different for the past number of years that Danielle and yourself can remember.
Correct.
But I'm a data-driven person, and I like to do things that are that will impact not one person or two people, but people in 10, 15, 20 years from now. But I'd like to know that we're making a decision because we have the data that shows that it has historically been, and do we want to say at least 40% or at a minimum 40%?
I think it would be, just say 40%. Residents have received a 40% discount traditionally for for as long as I've been here, 22 years. If you want additional anecdotal data,
I don't want anecdotal.
I'm sorry. You want
I
data? I'll get you whatever
I
additional
want
data.
empirical data.
I'll get you empirical data. Then.
Mayor, can I just, for clarification, because I know the treasurer probably is trying to figure it out in his brain. Are you saying, Mayor, that 45% might not be the right number, or historically it might have been substantially greater?
Yes.
So,
Correct.
so to say, you would like to codify something that's been history, if the history doesn't support, because the history is altered, maybe some years it was 75, some years it was 65, maybe one administration said, we'll give a 50% discount, is that the information you're looking for? So when we codify something, it reflects what history showed us. Maybe it is 45, who knows?
40, not 45.
40, whatever it is, see? Is that kind of where you're?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I like your gumption, but put the work in and bring us the data.
No problem. I'll take care of that. Secondly, I've been dealing with the Ethics Board, and I have some concerns in regards to the Ethics Board. I had...
Can I just, before we finish on the country club thing?
Yes,
We also have a CCMAC and a Board of Governors
yes.
that advise this body, that should actually be consulted on this as well.
Well, I would think the CCMAC definitely should be consulting on it, but the Board of Governors still, as of today, don't have bylaws in place to oversee them. So until we get bylaws in place on the Board of Governors, I'm not sure that I would entrust them with that. Give it to the CCMAC and let's get bylaws in place. And I know that we're not allowed to talk about the meeting that we had, but they had no idea that they were generating bylaws for us. So.
Thank you for not talking about it.
Well, anyhow, I didn't mention the name, but I'm just saying, if you're going to bring up the Board of Governors, it's been 18 months and they haven't had bylaws in place yet. It's like, how many times are we going to say to Dolgate the
You put
homework?
people's jobs in jeopardy when you talk out loud like this.
Listen, if I'm
It's
saying
really
something,
unfortunate.
if I'm saying something that's not accurate, but everything I say
And
is accurate.
I'm not taking your word for it either, so.
I got it, but it's accurate. But that being said, let's move on to the Ethics Board. I filed several ethics complaints with the Ethics Board, and I had asked that Attorney Leventhal recuse from my ethics complaints. And he sent me a response, and the issue I have with it is he is the judge, the jury, and the executioner. As he states here in his response letter, I have considered your renewal.
He also is employed by this village via resolution, and if you're looking to remove him based on performance, this is probably not the, no, let me rephrase that, absolutely not the venue.
No one is saying performance. I'm saying that this is a defect, that if we ask him to recuse, there should be, like, has that come to this board, that he's been asked to recuse from overseeing these two ethics complaints? No, he's never brought that to us. We have oversight over the ethics.
As
Let me finish.
attorneys,
Yes.
we're not governed by your ethics code. As attorneys, we're governed by the rules of professional responsibility, and just like it's this board's, and you members of this board, it's your decision to recuse from an application that periphery you may be involved in, but not really, and if you feel strongly you recuse, it's not for your attorney to tell you you have to. It's for you to recuse or not as someone in this position. And again, I'm gonna go to, this seems to me, you put in a request.
Correct.
I don't know what the outcome is, who cares?
It's irrelevant.
You don't think he did what you wanted by recusing or not recusing.
Sure.
Which is attack to his credibility and his job performance, which should not be discussed in public.
This has nothing.
Because I'm telling you, and I'm advising you because you're my client.
Okay.
Be very careful where you go next, disparaging a man who has a licensed degree. You better be 100% factual, or let's have the discussion in 20 minutes. For your own protection, man.
Fine, then we'll move it to executive session then, if you feel that's appropriate. Okay.
Oh, my gosh. Are you through with your report, Trustee
am.
Franco?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Trustee Hill.
Thank you. Public Safety Advisory Council met at the beginning of the month. I don't think no recommendations came out of it, but we had a really good discussion with DPW Superintendent Greg Munson. A lot of I've mentioned before, a lot of the issues that we deal with are more traffic safety issues than just general safety, or, violent. There's not, we're lucky that violence is not generally a major issue in the village. So one of the things that we were really talking about is just traffic calming tactics and strategies. And we're really lucky that Superintendent Munson is he's just extremely up to date on his trainings, like what is the new and cutting edge, I guess even just like ideology and thoughts on public works and traffic. So we are starting the conversation of just kind of not rerouting anything, but redesigning certain corners or stuff like that. So like a good example, this is my personal example, over by the CVS crosswalk, it is probably wider than it needs to be. And when you look at the oncoming traffic to make the right coming from Barnum onto Main Street, you're not looking at pedestrians that are trying to cross. I have personally almost hit someone there, and then as an EMT, I've taken a patient to the hospital after they were hit. So that's an anecdote, but it's a known problem spot. And if there's a way where we can change the bump out of that specific corner so that the cars are forced to, be able to see all things coming. So there's no set, like, this is exactly what we're doing, but this is kind of the thought processes that we're having there. And then we had longer discussions about things we had talked about as a group before. So things like the don't block the box along along Broadway for folks that don't know what I'm talking about, those boxes where you can't leave the car in them as you're queuing or in traffic. It becomes a problem on East Broadway when there's the ferry line, but then folks could possibly be trapped in the Danfords parking lot or the Village Center, depending on how bad it is. So we had a good conversation about those, and then we had conversations about the Brooke and Thompson speed reader. Since we've had so much trouble getting Suffolk PD to enforce on particularly Brooke, there's conversations about having the speed bumps put in those places, and we would what Greg said was that it has to be when the weather is acclimable to putting those sort of things in. So I think that pretty much covers it. We've also we're probably switching to Zoom just because some of the this is actually asked for by the members. One of our members particularly, he works in the city and he's just missed a good chunk of meetings from being stuck on the train or not being able to leave the office. And he's been, and anytime we're on Zoom, it's higher attendance. So I think we'll probably switch to that going forward. So I'll send you a email update on that, Clerk Perlow.
That's really worked for ours. I just, even if it's an in-person, just in case, I set up the Zoom, no matter what.
On Parks and Rec, we did, our last meeting, we did Zoom. We had great.
And then just for numbers on for January, there were 3 online complaints received. Two of them were anonymous. There were no code infraction investigations started in January. For January, there were 11 incident reports were prepared for complaints received via the code phone. You can always text that number too. There were 315 parking tickets issued for December for January compared to 63 issued in January of 2025. The events that they covered, snowstorm coverage, and worked in conjunction with DPW, and then there'll be coverage for the upcoming ice festival. And then I also do want to do just a shout out for Supervisor Flamia, who put together the post-action snow emergency command report. I think that's still not. I didn't see the final one come over, right?
Not yet.
But it was just extremely helpful and good info that was all put into one place. So it's really nice that he's able to use and we're able to benefit from his
He's like
emergency expertise.
Yeah,
It's
he's
really
a
incredible.
he's a reports guy for sure.
Yeah.
He, I don't know if you got this, but this is a report that he put together. Kevin asked him to put together a report. Did you
Yep.
get that?
Yeah, it's in
It's
in
like-
everyone's package
Yeah,
too, and it's great.
it's
Yeah.
like, the details are
Mhm.
unbelievable,
Yep.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this was since you started working here? No, this is just the month of January. So, and then the other thing that, just related to the snow emergency, I asked code enforcement to kind of put together a look at the code as it relates to snow removal, because there was a lot of confusion about that. We really haven't, it's sort of just been low maintenance for us. No pun intended, but this storm really showed us where we were deficient, where people didn't really know what their responsibilities were. So Anthony put together with Kevin's guidance or assistance, or put together this code-related, who's responsible, what are the requirements, where can you put the snow and where can't you put the snow, enforcement and penalties, possible towing for snow emergency, when there's a declared snow emergency routes need to be clear. I mean, and we need to communicate these things to our community, and we need to follow up on them, because, you know, and I don't want to, I mean, Patchogue has its issues, but one thing they do, something that they do well, not one thing, but something they do very well, is they emphasize the importance of removing your cars, your vehicles from the parking lots and the roadways, and their Chamber of Commerce is the organization that tells their commercial districts to make sure that you shovel your sidewalks. Now, we have this agreement in historic that we kind of inherited, and we, again, low maintenance, we really didn't need to look at it. The bid was even trying to lessen the amount of money that they were gonna pay into this contract that the village entered into with them, from $30,000 maximum to $20,000 maximum, and then the village absorbs kind of the rest. It's an interesting agreement now that we have an example of something like as terrible as this storm was, and how impactful it was, that we have to take a hard look at it. But in the meantime, the 20,000 didn't age well, right? That request was expired the moment it started snowing on January 24th, whatever day it was. So anyway, I'm going to run this around, Kyle, I think, to you for public safety advisory, and you can, wherever else it needs to go. But I think the council should look at it and be aware of it. If we have a snowstorm in between, we're going to have to activate this, and communicate this. So we're going to have to figure. I'll just give it to you. Oh, yeah, I'll just give it to you right now. And if you can work with Anthony on it and see, and we'll try and figure out how to communicate it. It won't be that difficult to put together a communication, but it's gonna hit hard on a lot of people because they're not aware of their obligations by law. And so some areas are town jurisdiction, some areas are bid jurisdiction, some areas our village, some areas are county. Like, we got a complaint about or a request to clear the snow in front of a bus stop
Yeah, that was.
on West Broadway. That's the county's job, and the owner of the property. It's not the village's job to do that. The guys did it because, for safety purposes, and people are standing, and there was a story, there's actually an article, there's the Newsday editorial today about that, about Nassau County having to establish a 311, which is a very interesting read, and I wonder if I don't know does the town have a 311 that you're aware of?
We have 451 town, same premise.
To a non-emergency,
451 town is like a one-stop shop. You call for any reason. Ask a question, where do I go for this? We also have public safety line 24/7, 451-6161. takes complaints
Mhm.
that aren't necessarily police complaints.
Mhm.
But we have similar.
So, do you want to look into that, Kyle,
Okay.
your advisory council,
Mhm.
and working with code? And I think everything else was covered, that just inside conversations and resolution votes, so I don't think, are you done with your report?
Yeah, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. This speed tables or speed humps that they're proposing, is it a permanent one or is it a rubber one?
So we have rubber ones in like the DPW garage, but Greg said he prefers the
Good.
permanent
Yes.
ones.
The
Yeah.
longer ones, the
Mhm.
more,
Yep.
Good, because the rubber ones get hit by the
Yeah.
plows and they get torn up
Yep.
and,
Exactly.
Yeah, right, like in front of Scraggy Hill
Yeah,
School. Right,
exactly.
you can see the damage, but,
Mhm.
is there a possibility that we could also look at the traffic, the speed of the traffic that's on Wilson?
Sure.
Winston, sorry, Winston. Because I've often thought that would be a good spot, because we've got kids that are down Waterview and, and on Rosita. And some of those cars come through, I don't know if they're late for a tea time or what, but. And there's a lot of racing at night, but not
Yeah.
to the extent that some of the
And
other-
I actually did forget to mention this. One of the things we did talk about, and I think Greg implemented this at the last municipality that he worked at, is a 20 is plenty, which would definitely be a cultural adjustment or evolution, which is capping the speed limits at 20 miles an hour. And the data on injuries show that there's a huge difference between getting hit by a car at 20 miles an hour and getting hit by a car at 30 miles an hour. Again, a conversation that will continue.
But he prefers not the rubber ones, but the ones like in Belterre, for example?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly which ones are in Belterre, but he said he prefers the
Permanent.
speed
Yeah.
tables.
Permanent
Yeah.
ones.
Okay.
the ones on Caroline Avenue.
Yeah.
And Brook,
Mhm.
like those
Mhm.
long yellow ones.
Yep.
Yeah, the tables.
Yeah. Okay, Attorney
Yeah,
Moran?
real quick. I'm gonna pass around first. Forgive my handwriting notes on this. I realized some possible errors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got one?
And you got one.
Thanks. This is modifications to the code in reference to what Trustee Franco would call the drag out. We had a section of the code 169.8, which partially addressed some of the issues when car leaves the site with dirty wheels, dirty rocks, sand, whatever. Mayor, you had forwarded me a while back a code from East Hampton when this issue first came out. I drew from that as well, and I added section B. And Trustee Franco, your last email for me, you wanted to make sure that it basically covers not just coming off tires or cars, but pretty much everything. One of your other requests was things flying out of back of cars or trucks.
Like the dust that comes out of the gravel when they.
Well, that's covered here, but they're like the landscaper's grass blowing out of the back of a truck. Are you picking me up? Because this is blinking. First battery to die. I think that should be a thing. Oh. That's already covered in our code, so this is.
Okay.
This is the drag out code, so if you, it's ready, I think, to set the public hearing. We can set it tonight if you're inclined, or we can set it, I'd rather set it on the regular business meeting for March.
25th.
And it gives a little bit of time to, if you feel like anything needs to be added, adjusted, or changed. But that's where I'm at with that.
What's loam?
It's a sooty, it's soot, basically,
Okay.
but
Thought
not,
it was more organic.
but it's not soot that comes out of a chimney.
Right, right.
It's loam, but it's like soot. Soot you would think comes out of a chimney, it's a similar thing, but it's organic.
Okay.
The reason you see my hand placed crossouts there, Public place is defined in our code already as any highway, sidewalk, blah, 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 blah. So I inadvertently wrote highway when, and in the previous paragraph, it already says public place. So those changes I'll make more permanent. But take a look at it. If everyone has my email, otherwise I'll form it to code amendment, stuff.
Can we run it by Supervisor Cooper to see how enforcement, like, let me start over. Can we get comments from Supervisor Cooper on how they think they would be able to or not able to enforce this?
Sure.
Okay.
He was the one who enforced it in East Hampton, by the way. He's the one who brought it to our attention.
Okay.
Second thing I'm gonna hand out,
Violation, would it?
say again?
I'm sorry, would this be a moving violation? No.
It's a litter.
Okay.
Second thing I'm gonna hand, I guess you make back-sided copies, huh?
Here's a single.
I'm so confused. All right, I'm just gonna hand this out. This is a first blush at residency.
Got one more?
The way this lays out, it gives a purpose.
Yeah.
It's working now.
Here, use trustee Brinsley's.
The way this lays out is it gives a purpose, it gives some definitions, it further makes determinations of residency. The simplest way to do this is the clerk develops what she believes to be proof of residency, and will work with me towards that. She then can designate someone at the golf course, someone in parking, someone wherever, the village center, and if it's not clear cut, you are a resident or not, all final determinations get made by the clerk to whatever level of satisfaction she believes. I did this in another municipality as well, and they carved out a section for fire and ambulance, who don't necessarily live in the village, but get some access to certain amenities based on their service to the community. You'll also see in here a non-resident commercial owner, based on the taxes that fund a lot of what we do. But again, this first blush, take a peek at it. I know it's new to you.
This is Bellport's.
This is somewhat of Bellport's, kind of, sort of. Bellport's, I took a lot out of it, because Bellport's is geared toward the issuance of a resident card, which falls solely in the jurisdiction of the clerk's office. And once you have that card, you go to the golf course, here's my resident card. You go to the village center, here's my resident card. You apply for a parking pass, here's my resident card. Makes it a little easier. And if we're heading that way, this would be a good step towards it. But just, again, first blush.
So in our code, we don't have any kind of,
Definitions.
Right.
We say you must be a resident.
but we don't define what a resident is.
We don't really, or what proof is required to be a resident. The obvious things are obvious,
Yeah.
tax bill. Yeah. And like I said, to the satisfaction of the clerk, like, I know our clerk that is not a resident, but Bob standing in the clerk's office, someone walks in and says, I have no proof, and you're like, oh, you're my neighbor. If that's sufficient for the clerk, it's sufficient for residency. It's like, not trying to
It's fair.
overcomplicate it.
Right.
And you'll find one or two people who don't like sharing information, don't like passing over a tax bill, even though all of that's public. So it's fair, it's universal, and it takes the discretion 100% away from our employees in the field. Unless it's either this, that, or this, and there's no arguments then with staff. If someone wants to come and fight and say, no, I am a resident, go see the clerk then. It's not for me to say yes or no, it's for me to say, if you don't have A, B, C, and D, you have to go see the clerk.
Yeah, I like that. It's reasonable.
And I
it
kind of
takes the
threw it all
pressure.
in,
off.
So you guys could cherry pick and pull out what you want. Maybe we're not ready for a commercial taxpayer to be declared a resident for what I'm gonna call amenity purposes or parking purposes.
I mean, it's
Or other
voters,
things.
right? It's
What's that?
almost voters, like, if you vote here.
That's a good requirement.
Yeah.
But it would be similar proof to vote.
Yep.
Are you gonna email this out?
I can.
Yeah.
Well,
if you
Clark
can.
has it.
I
Please
can
forward it.
send, like red line, like.
Yeah, do whatever you
edits,
want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I left it, it's 90% Bellport's code, because I wrote it. So there probably might be one or two references in there
Ho-hum.
to South Country Ambulance,
Yeah.
Whole Humvee, and their amenities.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have for a report at the moment.
All right.
Still in process on building permit fees.
Yeah.
It's a bigger effort than a couple lines through the paper.
Right.
But we'll get there, we'll get there.
We're building out a document of,
More.
well, I'll finish that sentence because I just tailed off and you're like, what? Building out a document of just like villages that are similar in footprint to to Port Jefferson to see what their fees look like. And it's going to be very interesting for this board to see what our building department has come up with. Okay, if there's nothing else, what's our next step?
Our next step, Mayor, is to
Your report.
adjourn to executive session. Thank you,
What?
to discuss a
report.
contract negotiation.
Okay.
I gave my,
We're good then.
yeah.
Sorry,
No,
did I miss
I'll
that?
stop.
I had
Sorry.
said, I had said that, you know, pretty much everything in my report, we kind of talked
Come
about
on.
Yes.
over time.
Yes.
Yeah. Kyle, do you want
No.
this?
Thanks, Kyle. What about Stephen's report, Part B?
Lisa was here, let me,
This is why he sat in the front of the class.
Guilty.
Any questions?
Yeah, exactly.
all right.
So with that, Mayor, will be adjourning into executive session to discuss a contract negotiation at 8:11 PM. May I have a motion?
litigation matter.
And a litigation matter at 8:11 PM. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And we're not voting on anything when we come back, are we?
Not expected, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I could not.
Dave, why I asked if it was vehicle